with no active computer, what the hell am I gonna do? So I should turn my light on. Have a better. Okay. So hopefully, while we talk, the goal will also to try to get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So we could talk two topics today. We have anything about Star Wars, even what's going on with, the Rise of Skywalker, and we can also talk about The Witcher since I finally finished watching it yesterday. And it's just I got a lot in my brain that I want to get over with that. But when it comes to Star Wars, I want to talk about how recently I like that there's a bunch of Sith Lords that were made canon, especially the Sith God, if I could say his name correctly, Andedu, if I said that right, Revan, and a few others. And that really surprised me. So let me pay attention, look up here while we're talking. That really surprised me, and it makes me wonder, what are we going to get in terms of Legends continuity brought into canon continuity? Because if they're going that far, let me use my phone to bring, because with my computer being out of commission, I have to use my phone. So let's talk about the long-term effects of introducing these ancient Sith Lords. So let me see. Canon Sith Lords. All canon Sith Lords. Or how many Sith Lords are canon, first of all? Oh, perfect. We're on the subject of also going to be sequel trilogy stuff. Let's see. Marvel Comics adds Ancient Sith Lord. I need to get some. You know what's funny? Star Wars, dude, I am glad you are here. You're one of the very people that actually back up my claims that I make. And you know, I don't make these claims for nothing. I make these claims with the knowledge that I know. Now, tell me this. I acknowledge one thing. There's a little fuss going on about the difference between Baby, which is, even though we don't know the name of the species, I would deem the name Baby Yoda for now. The Baby Yoda doing advanced force abilities, and Rey doing advanced force abilities. So, ugh. My nose is a little stuffy. Baby Yoda, when he did a very light force power, which was to pull something up. Now, oh shit. What just hit me? Did my own grenade? Yeah, my own grenade just murdered me. Anyway. What some people are referring to this as Rey did very similar force powers to Baby Yoda. And at the end of the day, he is still a baby. Yes, he passed out. But afterwards, he had no struggles. Or he, she, or I don't know what the gender is. But safe to assume, since it's a Baby Yoda and we're familiar with Yoda, we'll refer to it as a he for now. But it's not using the context as a battle of sexes. You know, a battle between a male and a female, what they can do and what the capabilities are. I strongly believe, right now, that Rey needs to be given leeway because of Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda he provided, in the show, 3 different level force abilities. Levitation, which is very simple, very basic. No, he didn't do 3. He did more than 1, because in the season finale, I can't believe I forgot about that one. Pushing the fire back. Which is not just force push to push something back. That's an advanced form of deflection. He did levitation to force levitate. He did heal, choke, and rebound. The force rebound technique. That child is extremely powerful, and I can understand that the Yoda species could be very powerful. But Rey comes from the blood of a Sith Lord. And in Legends, Sith apprentices, or people who automatically use the dark side as their first source, are extremely powerful. Luke said it himself in The Last Jedi from a certain point of view, which I'm disappointed that they should have actually mentioned this, and this would have vindicated a lot. Luke said that her power came straight from the dark. Like, she went straight to the dark. Rey already showed dark side tendencies because she used anger in all of her situations. You notice this. Her power, the dark side feeds on anger. It feeds on the emotion.
I've got something we should try.
You can say that Kylo Ren is overpowered as well, but that's understandable. He was trained through Supreme Leader Snoke, which is a clone. So in theory, or actually not in theory, this should be a fact, that if Palpatine was training him through Snoke, Palpatine, being trained by Palpatine alone is going to make you powerful. That alone will make you powerful. If he really tries. You know, it depends, because he doesn't really try to teach sometimes. These fans are so many details. Me. You're right. There's a channel that I watched. Now, there's 2 people. One in the past, me and him had a little disagreement about Star Wars Battlefront 2. But me and him now are... I respect his opinions that he may not like what goes on. And I'm sure he respects he seems to respect my opinion and understand why I seem to enjoy it. It's all certain points of view. And shit, I need help. It's so hard to concentrate playing the game and discussing at the same time. That's why I need questions given to me so I can easily answer them. More than just trying to go off tangent. But it's a live stream, you're gonna go off tangent. And that's what I always do, I always go off tangent. Anyway. Ah, shit. I got blown up. Shut up! I hate when the kids get the dog mad. Anyway. And mind you, my word should be held with more weight because I've seen the film more times, enough times, to be able to discuss it. Oh fuck, both of them. Oh fuck, so So, oh my god, who's hurting me? Who did I just get yanked by? Kylo? Is there a Kylo Ren in the field? Because I just got yanked off that balcony.
Found the captives.
Um.
Extracting them now. Let's get off this planet before our fleet blows it up.
Rey did not show as much advanced force abilities as people thought. She's only shown a few. In one episode, or in a couple episodes, the Baby Yoda showed immense power. These fans... Wait, let me reread your comment stars. I apologize. And oh, if you're wondering where this girl is, me and her are no longer attached to one another. It was her own doing. You know, this generation with women, they don't know what they want, so they just fuck off. So these fans miss so many details in Star Wars media that it really makes me wonder if they really are fans of Star Wars. It makes you wonder too. It really does. Because I feel now... Well, where's the Sith Trooper? He's still... Oh, fuck, he's only 1,000 pounds. Okay. 2,000, 1,000. Okay. Still gotta wait for 2 more players. I can't help but tilt my head to the left all the time where my computer was. My monitor. Well, no, my monitor's still there. My computer's what's messed up. I have my Nintendo Switch currently plugged to my monitor. I was gonna open you because also I have YouTube. Surprisingly, YouTube's on this monitor. It's a monitor / TV. I could have opened, like I could have did my regular full screen and just had the comments looking at YouTube from a YouTube app on this thing. But it's not the same as looking at it when I have it with YouTube open. So what I think, honestly, even though I don't hate the films, I don't hate them. I don't agree with a lot of things. You can disagree with a lot of things, but find things in there that enjoy it, that elevates it for you. Especially when you see where they come from. I was in the process of making a couple Star Wars videos, and then my freaking computer fried because I put the vote out for the damn, what you guys wanted to see next, and I was gonna write, how Palpatine survived, what his true plan was. Hey, yeah, it's not dead, okay? Dead to death. It's like that thing when someone says, "Oh, you're dead to me." That's how it is, okay? That's just how it is.
Launching grenade.
I can actually, you know what, if you guys want, I can discuss the Palpatine thing right now. That would be, I think that could filter out a lot of what I want to talk about, because I think that's what my mind was originally on, before, my computer. Now, the Palpatine thing. Palpatine's line wasn't for nothing, though I liked how they paid tribute to his line saying the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities. Palpatine did something smart. And his plan was foreseen. Everyone who claims to love Star Wars should have foreseen his plan. If you go back and rewatch the original trilogy and understand his plan now from The Rise of Skywalker, and reading the canon novelizations that explain things, Palpatine would have hid himself far. And he would have hid his son, who's Rey's father. He would have most definitely hid him to have no knowledge of him. This is shit he would do to Vader. In the Legends, he was always training somebody behind Vader's back. The Emperor hands. Did we forget about the Emperor's hands? Mara Jade Skywalker. Did we forget about her? No, we did not. I feel, in all honesty, if they were to put Mara Jade Skywalker... See, the problem is, if Mara Jade Skywalker was in Rey's role, nobody would complain. At all. I guarantee you that. Nobody would complain. If... oh yeah, Star Wars, dude, do me a favor. I can't share my links around now without the computer. If you could just do that for me, I appreciate it. But tell me not. Anyway, back to Palpatine. Palpatine wasn't necessarily alive. You saw his hands. You saw the damage. And if you look into Legends, the Dark Empire, he transported Luke Skywalker through a Force Maelstrom to his location to turn him to the dark side. He did the Force Maelstrom now at the end of Return of the Jedi to get out of that situation, to teleport himself out. He would have landed on Exegol where his secret base was, because he already had the secret base plotted out. And people are saying, oh, Exegol is not the homeworld of the Sith. No, it never was stated. It's a Sith world. There's multiple Sith worlds. The Sith controlled so many worlds in that of the Old Republic. Okay? That's just how it is. He did that. Palpatine, on the other hand, I saw what the Rise of Skywalker actually did. It didn't tell its story. It didn't tell its story in a congruent manner, because it felt more like If you go back and watch films like Conan the Barbarian, the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the film didn't tell you everything. You had to piece it together by visually watching. Unfortunately, audience nowadays are too lazy to do that. Or they're too lazy to look into the material that fills things out. Okay? Moviegoers are not the same of what they used to be. Their intelligence rate really ain't there anymore. People see a movie once and they automatically assume they know everything, which they don't. Now, Palpatine's plan to rebuild his empire in secret, because no one knows the unknown regions. The unknown regions were always unmapped. That would be smart for him to go, to hide. And they're going to bring up the fact that, oh, how did the Death Star be in pieces? That was 80s and 70s, late 70s and early 80s special effects where something would explode and it would look like it obliterated. Okay? But a station of that size would have, but this is also space after all. Had it obliterated, well, Star Wars doesn't follow the physics of space that much anyway. Not even, so don't count the Leia thing, because even then, Star Wars did a lot of outlandish shit in the EU when it came to space. I don't want to hear it. You know, I have my own private playlist that I keep, you know, so I can keep it private, called you know, my Star Wars library, where it's a combination of legends and canon material. And sometimes when I'm just playing my game off stream, I would have it playing on YouTube or on my phone, and I listen and I pay attention to details. Okay, cool.
The Resistance's efforts come to nothing. Starkiller Base is ready to fire.
So, anyway, Palpatine's original idea was to use, he said it in the film, and everybody ignores this. He was going to use essence transfer on Rey. He was going to use essence transfer until he saw force absorption, which I'm sure he had knowledge of. Who else did force absorption to absorb the life? Darth Nihilus. Lord Nihilus did that. I think it's acceptable for Palpatine to do that. And Palpatine, they're like, why he didn't use a lightsaber? Palpatine himself, at one point, stated the only reason he used a lightsaber, the only reason he used one, to offend the Jedi. And yes, there are points where he needed it to save his ass. But the Sith in the Bane era of the Rule of Two, when Bane created the Rule of Two, the Sith began to feel that they evolved past lightsabers. This was in the Legends continuity, mind you. Which could also be applied to canon, that Palpatine is doing the same thing. Wait, what's treason then? I want to know. That was a good one. I like that. You said, it's treason then. Shit, I didn't even see what map we were on. I was looking dead at the camera. What map did Star Wars do? Did you just see what map we're on? Because I didn't see. I was looking at the camera trying to talk, and then all of a sudden it just brought me here. I see a U-wing. Am I on Hoth or something? Because this is, because right now I am in the, okay, I'm in the Rebellion era. I'm in Rebellion right now. Oh, let me upgrade my cards. Oh, to hell with it. Where's the remote? Let me move my phone. Well, let me set my phone up. Coño! Oh, I'm on. Yeah, never mind, I got you. That people will defend the old continuity and shit on the new continuity. See, the thing is, I love both continuities. See, the thing is, why can't people just give a chance? Okay, you still have Legends continuity. You still have Legends. Why can't we just have two continuities? When you fuse these two continuities together, technically you have a greater continuity. Okay? You have a greater continuity. though Palpatine, yes, was short in the films, let's not remember he had just a short time in the old trilogy. And I'm gonna tell you how. When any of us, both old fans, new fans, anytime any of us saw A New Hope first, we thought, in all honesty, that Darth Vader was set up as the big bad. Palpatine got introduced in a hologram, which was a few minutes, and then only had sparses of screen time in Return of the Jedi. Yes, he was given more time in the prequels, but that means we've already had a lot of Palpatine. We've already had a lot of him. And a lot of people say, oh, the Rise of Skywalker, that's an identity-stealing politic. Actually, think of it like this. Leia trained Rey now. She would look up to Leia as a surrogate mother. That's what Jedi Masters are supposed to be. Parent and teacher. No, he was, but very so quickly. But you could think that Vader, you saw that Vader was a huge threat. Look at Kylo Ren and Supreme Leader Snoke. Supreme Leader Snoke was established as an affront to distract everybody in the first two for Palpatine's true return. I give a criticism to the Rise of Skywalker. The message that you had to wait until Fortnite to listen to. I wish that message would have opened the film where Palpatine would have just hacked into all the networks across all planets and issued his threat. Therefore, not with his face in holograms. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about establish it in like a voice, in his voice. Or if not, prove how powerful he is even more, because Palpatine is also on a planet that's a dark side nexus. And I wonder, they said that the Exegol, the temple on Exegol was that of a Sith Lord from the Old Republic. That makes me wonder, what Sith Lord? Which? Could it be out of the canon legions? Like the legions he named his Sith troopers? Like, he gave the different legions of the Sith troopers different names of Sith Lords, basically. So I'm wondering, which one? Not Revan. I don't think it's Revan. As much as I love Revan, I can admit, I don't think that temple belongs to Revan. I want to say, if they can canonize Nihilus, I would give that place to Nihilus. But my bets are going on the Sith god Adendu. I believe it's Adendu. Because I don't think Momin's fortress was on Mustafar. And a lot of people saying, oh, Mustafar healing itself doesn't make sense. If you look at the canon game story, which the canon game, Vader Immortal, is not bad at all. Like, no one's ever really said anything bad about it. If you look at that story, Mustafar was once a luscious tropical world. Then when we get into that, it's a possibility that it could heal itself. So after Vader's death, and the planet started to heal itself from its dark side energies, that's why you see a forest, but you still see the red sky, the lava in the background. You still see everything. Kylo went to Mustafar, which I wish they would have identified it as Mustafar. They could have just said, "Oh, Mustafar." After the death of Vader, started to heal itself in the film. They could have just said that I'm going to Mustafar. It's healed. It may be healed, but my grandfather's relic is there.
The data banks have been purged. The Empire's too late. All forces move to evacuate.
That's another thing they could have established. There's a lot of a lot of things that they're relying on the novel. Dude, when my cousin saw Rey with that... Well, no, actually, do you know what the yellow lightsaber means? Because that proves that she's not truly a Jedi either. Yellow lightsabers belong to the class that would defend the way of the... They were Jedi Temple Guards or Jedi Sentinels. And they were the protectors of the way. So she just protects the way of the Jedi, or the way. She doesn't embody it herself. So, and a lot of people say, oh, she came out of nowhere with a lightsaber. Dummies. There was a time skip at the end. And her staff, they always teased that she was going to build her lightsaber from her staff. Which makes sense that she would do that, because that was the weapon we saw her with. You know? Oh, Star Wars, dude, that dude, that guy, you remember the dude that made the video on me saying that I just had a crush on Rey? He took the video down. Not much confidence in his convictions. There's only one person that I trust his criticisms, which is the PlayStation Inquisition. And if you doubt me on that one, not you, Star Wars, dude, but if anybody doubts me, take a look at his channel, and I highly recommend you guys watch him. Though we have our different views, it shows that he and I show that we have different views, and we can have different views on the franchise, but still enjoy what we like. And if he doesn't like it, I'm not gonna force it upon him. You know, he can understand why I do. He may not understand it, but if he understands that I have my reasons, I don't look at Star Wars what's political. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, the gay lesbian kiss scene in the sky. I didn't even give a fuck when I saw it. I really didn't. Okay? Because you know why? The Old Republic PC game has gay relationships. It's a BioWare game. You know it's gonna have all types of, heterosexual, asexual, homosexual, every fucking thing in the book. So, think about that. It's already been, and Star Wars: The Old Republic, that game, not the Old Republic, yeah, Star Wars: The Old Republic, not Knights of the Old Republic. I'm talking about the MMORPG. The MMORPG. Yeah, thank you. In the Legends and in the canon. Okay, who gives a damn? Okay, let me seriously. I mean, would you guys have wanted to see a fucking? I'm pretty sure nobody would bitch if it was a Twi'lek, because I mean, let's be honest, a lot of us male Star Wars fans, to be honest, I think the Twi'lek women, in Star Wars, the Twi'lek women are described as, despite how they, the things and all, sexy cosplayers have done Twi'leks. They can make a Twi'lek sexy. Okay, they really can. I mean, Jabba wouldn't have them as slaves for nothing. I'll tell you that. And look, I just want people to know that this video is not to shit on your opinions of Star Wars, but I express my opinion, and I will express it strongly, just like everyone expresses it strongly. Yeah, you can see that happening. Have you played a Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO? I have. I used to play it. I stopped playing it because I don't like those. I don't like the membership subscriptions just for you to get DLCs and all that. I really wish when they do those free-to-play games that they would just, at one point when the game starts to run out of steam, that they should just open up everything for you. You know, DC Universe, I left out of that because they charge you an arm and a leg for their expansions, which I think the expansions, yeah, the server is still up. But when you play that game, you can have any relationship you want. Straight, gay, whatever. Because BioWare, BioWare is friendly to all people of sexualities. But they do it the right way. I can say they do. Okay, so what if just a kiss, everybody was celebrating and happy, alright? And if those two characters had a relationship, I don't fucking care. Alright, they're not dead. Go ahead, let them kiss. Who gives a shit? What the hell? It's not gonna bother me. It only bothers you if you allow it to bother you. I think the original trilogy could have been criticized properly. If you guys ever heard of this saying? If you don't like someone, what they do to try to play. Why can't I go up? What the fuck's going on? No matter what someone does to you, or if they try to do something that tries to please you, Everything they do to you is wrong, no matter what. If you go into that mindset from the beginning, and let's be honest, a lot of people went into that mindset from the beginning. A lot of people are like, oh my god, we missed the prequels. You guys trashed George Lucas for making the prequels, and yes, he sold Star Wars. Okay? That was one of the hypocrisies right there, and I noticed that at a very early time in my life. Because I'm very analytic. I don't show it, because of the reputation people have garnered for me on YouTube already. But I won't hide it. If I have to say something, I will speak up. And yes, there's a lot of... Yeah, and my Nana has the problem. See, the thing is, I have a Christian... I come from a Christian family as well. But I'm not gonna hate somebody. You know? Yes, I don't agree. But who am I to judge at the end of the day? Okay? I don't judge nobody at the end of the day. Alright? I don't express my religious beliefs on public or anybody because it's for me. You know? It's for me to deal with. Or it's for me to accept or look into, or I keep my viewpoints to myself. Okay? Yes, the one thing that bothers me about it is that girls nowadays rather dump a good man to, to be with a girl, which happened to me. And it's happened to me on multiple occasions. That's what sets in my dislike of that community and simmers. Not everyone does that. I'm not going to say, everyone in that community does that, because I'm sure there's a lot of nice people in that community. There's ones that you don't mind. But then there's the ones that are over the top, the overly gay people. That are just the annoying ones that's the ones I have a problem with. To be honest. So, see, here's the thing. Me in my life, I view it like this. You get faced with tests all the time. And yes, I got faced with that test of homosexuality. But that, obviously I never participated in it, but I've always had gay guys flirt with me or try to hit on me, and I flat out tell them, look, that's just not my thing. And I say it very respectfully, and I say it nicely, look, I don't want to offend you, I'm sorry, I love women. That's my thing, I love women. And then they would get pissed off when you say no. So then what the fuck? If we have to respect your choice, why can't you respect ours? Think about it. Anyway, Star Wars, dude, that I went on my little, that was my, oh my god, that was actually a real political, almost a political rant I went on right there. Oh shit, I didn't realize that, I'm sorry. Honestly, even though I'm not... Yeah, see, that is something different. That's more understandable. Also, that's a comic. Comics and movies can do whatever you want. Okay? They can do whatever they want. And comics and movies, they were always a representation of what happened. Star Wars was a representation in the past of things that happened in the 80s and the 70s. Okay? And if you think I'm bullshitting, not you, Star Wars. If anyone thinks I'm bullshitting, try and see if you can find this documentary. This was before Disney and all that, called Star Wars, A History. I think it's Star Wars, A History Revealed. I think that's what it's called. Oh shit, it's Granddaddy. Got you, motherfucker. Shit, not fair. Both of you guys are on my ass now. Damn it! Yeah, if I remember, that's the name of the documentary, Star Wars, A History Revealed. It's a documentary. And I highly recommend you watch that. It really tells you that even George Lucas was taking inspirations at the time. Like, the Empire. What is the Empire? Nazis. Thank you. Okay, and yes, the new Star Wars films are a representation of what is going on now. And what are the big things going on right now, Star Wars? Dude, list them off for me. Because I know, but I wanted them to hear it from someone out of my view, you know, that's not for me, so they can see that it's just not me spewing shit. Which it's not shit, it's facts. Oh my god, Anakin. I love Anakin, but I hate being on the receiving end. I hate being on the receiving end of this shit.
Maintain our presence at the rebel camp. It'll fall shortly.
Oh shit, we're about to go into overtime.
Priority target. Rebel commander landing.
Yeah, it did.
Rebel camp
Like,
secure. I say again. Rebel
a lot of
camp
things. Oh
secure.
fuck, we didn't get to the other. Damn it. Motherfucker.
The rebels have erased everything.
Damn, I was trying hard.
This operation is ended and the fleet will take over.
Get in the ship! Get in the ship! The rebels of the sky! Now here's the thing. A lot of people saying the hypocrisy on the fans because of they're using the Mandalorian. The only reason the Mandalorian everyone favored it because a lot of people have, all Star Wars fans have always wanted a bounty hunter story. Though we didn't get it with Boba, we have it with a new character. That will automatically make everyone love the show because they already had it in them from the beginning that they wanted a bounty hunter type show, a dark bounty hunter thing, whether it be movie, show, or video game. So everybody already went into that mindset that they were gonna like it. Not that hard. Politics, war, fighting for peace, pretty much everything. Thank you. Everything that is happening now. The prequels focused on the attacks after 9/11. You know, during. I wouldn't say during because Episode 2 at the time came out a year after. But troubles with the Middle East were already brewing at the time of the Phantom Menace. So. Oh, by the way, Stars Dude, if you haven't watched The Witcher, watch it if you have Netflix. That's another adaptation that breaks the video game curse. Because I think there was something else. There was a couple other things that came out recently that broke the adaptation, thing curse. Oh shit, Naboo. It's Naboo. Shit. There's probably a few things I missed, but yeah, the Emperor Palpatine is based on that also. Thank you! I thought I was the only. I'm putting the TV and the camera's right there. What the fuck is wrong with me? I've always thought about that. Right after I watched the documentary, A History Revealed. Like, let's be real, and a lot of people are scared to do this. Even YouTubers. I was watching even my favorite YouTubers. They were scared to say anything positive that they liked about the film. They were. You could see it in body movement, and it was a shame.
Those disruptors really work.
Shit. Let's go.
The transport must be preserved.
And a lot of people. There was this guy called the Nexus. He made a comment, and a respectful one at that, why he disagreed with my view. As a matter of fact, Star Wars Dude or anybody that watches, go to my review of The Rise of Skywalker, and the PlayStation Inquisition. His comment is there, and the other guy. I just know that he has Nexus in the name. But you'll see his comment and you'll see what I mean. I watched his video. He made a video talking about the Phantom Menace. And he broke down why the Phantom Menace was one of the reasons Star Wars was damaged. Say what you will about what Disney did. It takes two sides. You know, two wrongs don't make a right. And both sides were wrong. And unfortunately, those caught in the middle that actually enjoyed it had to be, how do you say? They were automatically subjugated to be identified as one side. You either, if you just enjoy, you just can't even enjoy it. You were automatically labeled that you were an SJW for, okay, like, hey, I like the movie. You were already assumed as an SJW. Okay. Disney is not always far off when they say something about the fans. Okay. And with the Phantom Menace's influence, they have abused that influence. There was 3 particular people he said. I don't remember the last name because it was a YouTuber I never heard of, but he talked about Geeks and Gamers and the Overlord DVD. Like at any chance they get, they were trashing it. They weren't like they were saying the same thing. Oh, like anything. They take the littlest things, like the littlest reports, and they turn it into a big deal, which they're actually really not a big deal. You know, now a lot of people say, oh, the Rise of Skywalker bombed, but it actually made a comeback, so it didn't bomb. No matter, I'm gonna tell you one thing. A lot of the YouTubers, when they saw the Last Jedi, they gave it positive outlooks. Then as time, when we got close to Solo, they started to retract. Then when they went to go see Solo, they didn't go see Solo because they knew, okay, you can't make a mainline episode bomb. You can attack a spin-off. And here's the funny part. Go back and watch Solo. And this is where I realized they were hypocrites. Because I didn't see Solo the initial open day. I saw like a week or so after. Because I wanted to give it a chance. Come and find out, Solo was a good film. It really was. So they didn't watch the movie, but then they had the nerve to talk about it like they knew. No, the hell they didn't. Okay? Watch the watch Solo again, and you see how much you really enjoy it. Because it fit more in the tone lines of Rogue One, but with more of, you know, a little bit of humor. It was more like that. It was Han Solo's first true adventure. There's a lot of public figures that Star Wars characters are based on. Snoke is based on injured of World War I, the veterans who came back. Okay, see there you go. See, the thing about me, though people said that I'm full of shit when it comes to Star Wars, it's funny how everything I said about Battlefront 2 and then some came to fruition.
MTT reporting subsystem failure.
So I have a ground to stand on. And don't get me wrong, there are things I wish were different about the trilogy. Inquisition. I was actually gonna send you I was actually just about to send you a what's it called, man? What do you call it? On Twitter. I found some time to stream today. I wanted to invite you. Right now my computer's down, so I'm not doing my normal thing. See, and also I was giving you some what's it called? I was giving you some what's that term we use on YouTube? Plug. I was giving you a plug. I was saying that though you and I had... See, this is how Star Wars fans should be. You have your reasons, and I'm not going to fight your reasons. I respect whatever reasons you don't like the films, and I'm sure you... Maybe I see something that you don't see. And you see something... did I say that right? Maybe I see something that you don't, and you see something that I don't. But we can talk about it. Yeah, I can. When I get to let me get to the save not save menu, the main loadout screen, the main menu. I'll pause the stream. Like they'll still hear me in the background, but I'll pause the stream, create a quick party. Okay, perfect. Create a quick party, and then from there we can think. Is your chat settings on, right? Because I always have to make sure that everybody's got their chat settings on, like to allow it to be heard in broadcast. Because I always have mine turned on, but I don't know, what's your settings for allowing people to be heard in broadcast? Because mine's on to allow people to be heard, but it's also up to the other person to turn theirs on. I saw you on last night, and I was gonna do this last night, but I had a real busy day yesterday, and I was just extremely tired, and I crashed. I think you were on last night. Like, well, right now the hours are still back, so night comes early. The problem with Star Wars fans is that... Okay, cool, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. See, I didn't see you online, so I just started. I was gonna do 2 topics today, talk about The Witcher and talk about Star Wars. That's why I put Star Wars first, and I wanted to get Star Wars, like, make half about Star Wars. And also, I really wanted to talk about Witcher because... Woo! Damn! Can we say the video game curse has been broken yet? Is that safe to say yet? Even though I know it's based on the books, but the books take place before the video games. So... who knows? And plus, I wish I had, I was also trying to prepare a little... I was actually going to ask you if we could have done this as a New Year's Eve, New Year's night special. That's actually what I was thinking about to inform you. But, we could do that. We could do that now and probably do that again as well. Because I've been doing a lot of, digging, and I've also been doing a lot of, I've been listening to a lot of canon and a lot of Legends continuity on my audiobooks on my phone. And it's helping me filter out what I notice and what I don't notice. And maybe there's things that I noticed that you can't join the game though, because I can't join the game because I gave it to my room. Oh, okay. Well, there's Mortal Kombat 1, Detective Pikachu, so... Yeah, that's true. Mortal Kombat 1 and Detective Pikachu. Those 2 were good. I mean, brilliant, actually. Well, in the meantime, until the match ends, we can just try to discuss as much as we can, and then we can get the audio going. What I've been doing, Inquisition, was, I went back, and I started reading not reading it, what am I saying? I was watching a Motions comic. I think I should send it. I'm pretty sure you would want it, because I love this story, too. Somebody made a full motion comic of the entire Dark Empire story. Then, after my third viewing of The Rise of Skywalker, and I was watching a... Oh, thank you. Yeah, let me get shot first. I'll go to that. Go to your Let me grab my headphones too. Let me just get killed on purpose. Mañana. There we go. All right, got it. All right, stream. The stream's gonna pause for 1 second. Oh goodness, I did not want to pause the stream.
Oh, I wish I had a capture card to to just not let my streams get interrupted. How's it going? You're currently... Okay. Alright, almost. There we go. Oh, there. It's okay. It's okay. I had I hated having I was trying to wait till the match ended because I hate that whole blue screen thing that interrupts it. I wish they would get rid of. I wish they get rid of that.
Yeah, my bad.
I saw it's alright. I'm cool. It's all good. What was I saying? I was talking about Dark Empire.
Yeah, I kind of left the chat. I kind of left the stream in order to set up the chat.
Yeah, I was at least I had some. I was trying to take advantage of some time I had. Because I've been just so damn busy. That day, I was actually gonna ask that day, but then I ended up getting busy. Whoops. I live in a full house. My whole family lives in this house.
Yeah, I'm also looking for a job, so I'll take a turn off that too.
Well, it's my job that's been screwing my time, and plus now with my computer out of commission, it's gonna be hard to upload my videos. I'm just like, the only thing I can do is stream, because that's one thing you can manage without the without being on YouTube.
There is a way. What quality do you set your streams to?
Well, I raised it every time I try to raise it to the highest settings, because my TV is one of those I have an OLED 60-inch 4K TV.
Okay.
Every time I turn the settings on, they work, but here's the problem. There's so many people in this house, something about the Wi-Fi disrupts the quality, so I still have my high definition rendering turned on, the HDR, but I have to keep it on 1080p for it to run consistent.
So I take it you're running on a Pro then?
Yes.
So the reason I was asking is because if you actually stream at a lower quality, like 720p low or lower, you can actually record your streams the same way you record regular footage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Yeah? Ah, shit, my door's locked. I'm streaming, so I can't do nothing. Because the thing, I'm talking and I don't.
You have an audience.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have an audience. That's what they said. No, I didn't know, Mom. I didn't know if you needed me to do something. Oh, man, I've been talking. When it comes to Star Wars, I talk loud. Yeah, just lock the doors. I don't want the kids coming. They be coming in when I'm not looking. Yeah, she just wanted to make sure I'm alright, because right now my health is not in the best of conditions. I had an injury and it's affecting my body.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I gotta get surgery in the next few months or so, and plus, it's been a while since I suffered them, but apparently I had I passed a kidney stone, so.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it hurts. I'm kind of. Right now, I had to take my medication. That's why I look so lively in the video, because for some reason it gives me a jolt every time I take it. But I start sweating. Right now, right now I'm sweating. I can't even keep the AC on because the cold affects the pain that goes on in where I'm injured at. I know I look fine on screen, but if you notice that I do very limited movement with my left arm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I keep it low as possible. Even at my job, they only have me doing one thing right now, and that's just taking turning on and deactivating the incinerator.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Take the Naboo throne room.
I like how we're both playing the games that are perfect to our personalities.
Yeah. Like right now I'm just like, I'm amazed how, like, for some reason I got my friend and we were talking about this the other day. We like, I give him one thing. He's a god at Call of Duty. He calls me a god at Star Wars.
I'm actually gonna start a stream of my own here.
Oh, that'd be cool, yeah. Yes, I was giving some channels that follow me plugs at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Also, do you have a mobile phone?
I do. That's what I use right now when I'm not paying attention to the comments on the TV. I pay attention to the comments on the phone.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because you can, like, you know, when you're setting up your stream, you can, like, display messages, or you can choose not to display messages.
Oh yeah. That I already have that set up. Anyway, what I was saying was when I was going back and looking at Dark Empire, some things were clicking in my head after my third showing of The Rise of Skywalker that I didn't notice the first two times. Okay. And what I had noticed was, if you remember in the Dark Empire, well, how long has it been since you read Dark Empire? If you got a chance to read down.
That's the problem. See, most of what I've read is all novels. I haven't read the comics.
Well, that's the thing. Dark Empire was a novel, but they made a comicization of it.
Okay, because I'm not familiar with the Dark Empire novel series then.
Yeah, like if you read Dark Empire, even though like I said, I mean, I can understand why you don't prefer the films at all. But if you look at Dark Empire, it might help give us some context. I'm not gonna say everything. Even I know it's not gonna say everything, but a lot of context that people have taken out of it comes from Dark Empire. Very, like, actually almost to the point where it's like...
I mean, if that's a defense to the story that's being portrayed in the films, then...
Not necessarily.
I guess...
I'm actually not saying in terms of story. I'm actually in terms of certain characters, like Palpatine.
Okay. My only issue there is that, as far as the films are concerned, most people paying to watch these films will have little to no knowledge of the Dark Empire novels, and will therefore be out of the loop
of what's going on.
Well, not only that, but since Disney decanonized most of the expanded universe anyway, it kind of really makes everything that they show in the movies out of place, even unintentionally, either intentionally or unintentionally, included characters from the expanded universe.
Yeah. See, what I was thinking, what went through my head was like, okay, Palpatine, a lot of people say that his plan didn't make sense, and at first I can admit, his plan did not make sense, but then I'm like, wait a minute, there's a lot of deception going on with Palpatine, which is in line with who he is.
That's true, but I think the biggest problem people had with the film was the fact that there was just no explanation for how he
survived.
Well, never mind how he survived, but just how he acquired the thousands of Star Destroyers, how they miniaturized a technology that required massive amounts. Well, a massive apparatus to be built in the first place, hence the size of the Death Star.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Kyber was it Kyber crystal, or am I saying that right?
Yeah, Kyber crystals.
Yeah, the fact that the Kyber crystals are such a rare element to begin with, and yet they seem to have enough to equip tens of thousands of destroyers.
See, you're right about that. See, that's the thing. That's a lot of Right now, there's a couple things that I've looked into that makes me wonder. That could be like, okay, there's got to be somewhere how this could have happened. Because I'll be the first one to say, if I can't find a reason, I'll be like, Palpatine, how the hell did you get that manpower? First of all, I know you're the Dark. I know you're the Dark Lord and all. So okay, there's one thing I have to admit. I don't know. I'm tossing up between his "I am the Senate" line and one of the lines he did in this film. And I'm sorry, one of the lines he did in this film kind of tossed his, it kind of beat his old line. And it's the part.
They actually rehashed a lot of his old lines in this movie.
Well, the Revenge of the Sith one, I enjoyed when I heard it, because that's something he would have re-said to imply his survival, or imply how powerful he really is. When I do like that line where he says the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities, and it's not a lie, because he did some unnatural things with the Force right at this point. See, the line that I like what he did the most, where he says, "Nothing will stop the return of the Sith." The way he said it with the tone of the "do it" line, I was like, okay, you got me there, Palpatine. And a lot of people say why he didn't use a lightsaber. Back in Legends, in the Bane, once Bane established the rule of two, and once we got closer to the Sith taking control of like politics and in the Senate, they felt that they evolved past the point of lightsabers, and Palpatine only used the lightsaber because he deemed it as an offense to the Jedi. Because you see his lightsaber hilt is elegant, it's not monstrous or dark, but the blade that is within it, the corrupted Kyber crystal, would offend the Jedi.
Is it corrupted? Because all I really understand, like from my understanding of the earlier canon of Star Wars when it comes to lightsabers, is that the reason that their lightsabers were red for the Sith is because it was basically their way of overclocking the system, and a red lightsaber was, scientifically speaking,
created.
Was said to be able to short circuit that of a Jedi.
That is very specific on. It depends on the Sith Lord himself. It depends on the Sith Lord itself, because there was a lot of Sith Lords in Legends. Their lightsaber fused with their power. Like Starkiller is one example. You could see that through him, even though take the game mechanics aside and look at because I know a video game has to over the top it. But then when you look at the snippets of the novelization, he fought one of those Imperial Guards that had the red saber staff, and he hit the blade so hard that the whole staff from the blade down broke. But that wasn't that wasn't just the saber. And this was with the blue saber, mind you. That when he got the blue saber, he still embedded the dark side into it. It was almost him doing something similar to the Fallen Jedi XR Khan.
Okay.
So when he did that, it broke, and I was like, when I read that, I was like, holy hell! Who taught him this power? Because Vader was not always trained by Palpatine either. Vader is a little bit more home taught than people think. Because Palpatine wasn't always present for his training.
Right.
I like how in the because there's one thing that people have. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay.
Vader's character also, I mean, because it was the early prequels, he had sort of that Evangelion plot armor, if you know what I mean, where he can't really lose or die before the main trilogy.
Before he becomes who he is.
Exactly. It would be a time paradox.
Yeah. Which is funny, you know the original, if what was that game, the game studio that made the original 2? I forgot their name already. Damn. The
original 2 what?
The Battlefronts.
Oh,
because after the cat.
Oh no, wait, hold on. Shit. I have a copy of Battlefront 2.
It's on the top of my head right now, and I can't turn on my Xbox to look at Battlefront 2.
Hang on. Hey Google. Who developed the original Battlefront? Oh my god, I gotta get that right, is it?
Star Wars Battlefront was developed by EA Dice.
No, not by EA Dice. Come on. Okay,
Well,
here. Let me try this.
You have to put all
Who
5.
developed Star Wars Battlefront for the PlayStation 2. Really? I swear to God, EA has infiltrated Google.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta give. Right now, I don't count EA with this one. You gotta give DICE a lot of credit. They turned it into the game that I prematurely said it would be.
Well, I mean, they developed. Here's the thing.
Because if EA never interfered, I think we would have got this point off the bat. Because DICE doesn't like to DICE likes to try to like with Battlefield. It's not really them.
That may be true, but
Yeah.
we can't deny the fact that Battlefront 2 was definitely a No Man's Sky moment for EA.
Oh, I never denied it would be, but I was like this. I was like, think about it at this point. The failure at the beginning is what will propel it, because it almost brings up what Yoda said. Failure was their greatest teacher, and what happened? I never said this will be on par. It will never be on par. You know why it won't be? Because there's no galactic conquest.
Yeah.
That's why I will never put this on par.
Even without the galactic conquest, they still had some major issues.
Oh, I agree they did. But
Like-
what I could say that there was a foundation for the good game trapped beneath all that shit. And I stated that it's trapped. It needs to be over time brought back out.
Yeah. It's just that at the time, it was it felt like you were saying that the game is a good game right now. Nothing is wrong. It's not EA's fault. And that was the kind of message people were getting from that.
Yeah, and then I got a little ticked because I'm like, why is like in my mind I was like, why are we misinterpreting what I'm saying? And then I had to do a podcast with my buddy Beemaster, which did I ever send it to you?
I think you did.
Because with that one
I'm actually friends with Beemaster on PSN now. So
yeah, me and him.
By the way, did you know he has a PS4 now?
Oh yeah, I was the first person he said he went and got, because he knows he might get this game too, because now he's like, okay, now I'm gonna have to play it.
Okay.
But what I thought, like, when I did the video with him, I was like, I say the failing of this game is gonna make them do this. They're gonna put the core characters we wanted. I didn't know in the order. I just said that they were going to come. And he said that I had an Emperor. Once he saw all this pop out, he was like, "Are you Palpatine for real?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says everything proceeds as for you foresee. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, dude, I pulled that one with Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
I had bad premonitions of Star Trek Discovery when I heard it was being announced.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after Into Darkness had come out recently.
Yeah.
And my friend Yules, he was like really excited for Star Trek Discovery, with the premise that was being explained to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, dude, I foresee bad things happening with this franchise.
And you got your bones.
Oh my god! Fast forward to today, and it's one of the most SJW versions of Star Trek you will ever see.
Yeah. See, like, what was so funny was, I felt misled in one area. I felt misled with Solo. Now, I don't know if you've got a chance to, if you've rewatched it, or maybe went in with even more of an.
I haven't actually seen it, but I've seen a lot of the footage that was shown in the reviews, and I have to say, I didn't like what I saw.
No, that's the thing. That's what a lot of people at first. It's funny how a lot of people didn't. They said that they didn't like it, but they didn't bring up why. And then people who reviewed it, some of the stuff, the scenes that they brought up, didn't make they were saying stuff was in the film that wasn't in the film. Like they were just trying to figure. And I watched it a week or two after release. And
so you're telling me that there wasn't a shower scene between Solo and Chewie?
No. Someone said Maul didn't make sense. He was alive this whole time. How did that that right there? I was like, oh my god, these people don't know what you're talking about. Oh my god, they don't know what they're talking about. They're like, why does Maul make sense? Maul shouldn't be there. Maul is dead. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god, somebody's lightning this person, please. Please.
Your voice is set to share as well, right?
Huh?
Your voice is set to share as well?
Yeah, I always keep my stuff on.
Okay, perfect. Because I got two people commented. Nate's he's watching my podcast right now, and so is a friend of mine from Discord.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my stuff turned on. I don't understand if it's not working.
Yeah. No, I think it is. I was just curious if they were hearing me.
Oh.
It's like what's yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotta make sure I keep my stuff on because I never turned it off.
Yeah, the reason I was saying it's funny how we're both playing our namesakes.
Yeah.
Because you're playing Star Wars and I'm literally playing Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr.
But like when I got a chance to finally sit down and watch Solo, I enjoyed it at first because okay, I went into it, I'm like, okay, this is not meant to be taken seriously. And then I watched it again and I'm like, the only criticism I do give it is that I didn't like the droid. I could be honest with that. I didn't like the droid, and I didn't like how it was a little too fast paced. I guess it was meant to be a race against the clock type situation, and I get that. But it's
I feel kind of betrayed because of because of the Deus Ex Machina they used to explain how the Millennium Falcon was the fastest ship in the galaxy. Or, sorry, to how it would do all these fancy maneuvers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they say that, like, the brain of this...
is the robot.
The brain of this robot that everyone laughed at when Lando tore it in half, right?
I didn't think about that.
So basically, the Millennium Falcon is literally
It's L3426, right?
Yeah, basically. And I thought that is such a huge, fuck you to all the stuff we see.
I didn't go into
Empire Strikes Back,
which is weird. It's like I don't know if it's just me, but when I go into a movie, I don't know if I'm weird for this. Even if I know movies are going to be good or bad, my expectations for every film I watch is down to 1.
What does that mean?
Which means I go into every film with low expectations.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure what you meant there when you said
down
to 1.
Yeah, it's like I go into every film with low to zero expectations. And then I come out either surprised, or then I'll be like, okay, I enjoy it, but I get why people won't. I'm not gonna go into something that maybe will take. If I'm going in expecting too much, then yeah, I've done that before, and that's why I stopped.
Okay.
And I don't know if people will find that as like, is that a good mindset or a good view to go in? I don't know. No.
If you enjoy it, but you still understand why people don't enjoy it, then I think that's a pretty. It's an unbiased opinion.
But that's the opinion. For some reason, people think that that's my biased opinion, but that's actually not, because I'm looking at it like, okay, this person might not like this, but then this person could like this part or this aspect.
You'll have to give me a second here. My sinuses are just really bugging me.
Oh, trust me, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've been having an allergic cough.
For a sec here.
Mm-hmm.
You're an affront to everything the Jedi stand for.
Ah, shit. I got shocked in the ass. Ah! Come on, Kenobi, you're the master of Source 2 defense. Block!
Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the little pause. What was I saying?
About like I said that, you know, somebody could like something different than what the other person doesn't.
I was gonna ask you, what do you think of the opinions? And I'm one of these people. What do you think of the opinions that the sequel trilogy destroys a lot of the Star Wars canon that's been established?
It does, if you look at it without, like, before I even wanted to make a video on that, well, now I can't, I gotta wait a while. I went in trying to be like, you remember with the situation with Mass Effect 3, like, you know how people hated that ending and they were trying to delve into the lore to explain its ending? Or explain what could go on?
Well, Mass Effect 3 had a bit of a cushion to fall on, is because it was a bad conclusion, mind you, but it was a conclusion that did fit the universe. It wasn't satisfying, but it did fit what was established within the universe. Although there were some caveats that made it a little confusing.
Yeah,
like there was this one theory. You watch Game Theory?
From time to time.
MatPat presented a theory that Shepard was actually indoctrinated.
That's actually what I was about to say. It's called the that was the thing that people were saying, that it's called the damn it! What did that word?
Indoctrination theory.
Thank you. Just like for some reason it couldn't roll off the tongue right there. The indoctrination theory, and I was like, okay, maybe let's apply that kind of theory to Star Wars and delve into both continuities to find not a perfect justification, but a bittersweet outlook. Instead of it just be purely hated, okay, it'd be like, we don't like it, but there's a somewhat of a basis to it. Like, I want to think about, they said it undoes, it kind of does and it doesn't undo, it does both and sacrifice. It does a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because, but the thing is, in Legends...
Well, it doesn't just do that. It literally puts Rey in a seat of power where she outdoes Luke, she outdoes Vader, she outdoes every other Jedi. Because she does these things that... Pardon me.
Yeah, it's good.
That Kathleen Kennedy literally quite pulled out of... Jar Jar Abrams and Rian Johnson literally pulled Force powers out of their ass to have Rey do these things perfectly and with, you know, with no literal conflict to her.
Yeah. But the funny part is, like, you know what's funny? A lot of people didn't realize this about that I can also say about... I thought about that also about Kylo Ren. But the kicker was, I never thought Supreme Leader Snoke was Supreme Leader Snoke from the get-go.
Well, I always thought that, I mean, I'll admit, when I was watching for excuse me, when I downloaded the first movie.
It's also it's a family tradition. We go see Star Wars. That's just something we do together. It's not like, oh, you can't say a family event is, oh, you're giving money, da da da. I'm like, we don't view it as that. We just, you know, do something together. I mean,
well,
is us.
I mean, if you want to view going to the theater as patronizing a film, I mean, it's kind of a wrong stance to take, because reviewers, oh, excuse me, even reviewers who end up not liking the film, they had to pay to get the ticket to see it in the first place.
Yeah, and that kind of be like, okay, I mean, you say don't purchase they go buy to see the movie, but then you buy to see the movie. So I mean, you kind of can't stay on that foot.
Well, he can because he's done it before you. He's stepped into the minefield and say, okay, don't step here. Okay, you're not gonna like what happens to your feet, you know?
Yeah.
In this case, it's, you know, don't watch this film, you're not gonna like what you see.
Oh, where's my Yoda? Where's my Yoda? Oh, there he is. I need Yoda. Fix the situation.
Is he bowl of soup?
I don't know. Well, right now my whole team, I just got to play as him. I was trying to use my my Yavin 4 Luke, but someone took him. Oh crap! There's Palpatine. Speak of the devil. But then, at first, I was kind of like, okay, I can agree that these people are OD. But in this generation, I thought in this generation, all heroes I've ever seen are OD, which means you're overdosed with power.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, what is Palpatine been taking to make him OD on anything?
Let's think about it. The man is drunk off the Force.
Aside from Viagra and, you know, morphine, like, what could Palpatine possibly be needing right now?
And a lot of people are like, Palpatine, they said that what Palpatine didn't do makes sense. Palpatine had two plans that, at first glance, you have to listen to him. Because he always says something in his words that gives you an idea of what he was trying to do. He was about to use what is a Legend's ability, Force Essence Transfer. Force Essence. You know that power where someone who claims to have immortality will transfer their essence to a much more powerful body to live on.
Well, that's not a force power I've ever read about or heard of.
Darth Krayt did it.
Darth Krayt did it. Who's Darth Krayt? You'll have to explain that to me.
Okay, he's from the Legends. He comes from, I think the story was Legacy of the Force. This is way after the Yuuzhan Vaughn. This is way after that. There was a descendant of Luke called Cade Skywalker. And there was this Sith Lord who established a new rule called the One Sith named Darth Krayt. Now, Darth Krayt was a Jedi. He's been around. He was a Tusken Raider Jedi. So
whoa. Tusken Raider Jedi? Now we're delving into some weird shit.
Yeah, I got.
Tusken Raiders are the equivalent of Arab terrorists.
Actually, that's the thing. That's what you think, but then when you look at underneath all that, they're humanoid.
They're humanoid because they have 2 arms, 2 legs, and enough intelligence to build, you know, basic structures.
Well, what I mean by humanoid is when he took off in one of the comics, he took off I don't know what to call that thing that they're wearing on their head.
Just a mask.
He took it off to show Anakin that he wasn't, all Tusken Raiders weren't different, and he was a man. No different than any other. He looked like him, except he had very similar facial tattoos to Maul. And he was trained by Ki-Adi-Mundi. This Jedi was trained by Ki-Adi-Mundi. I forgot his name. His name might pop in my head. He was trained by Ki-Adi-Mundi because his father was a Tusken Jedi, and he says, I want you to be trained by Ki-Adi to complete your training. Because this particular Jedi had an issue with rage as well, but he also helped quell a little bit of Anakin's hatred toward Tuskens, seeing that they were not all savages. Some of them just had...
Did this happen before or after Attack of the Clones? Because we see what he did to Attack of the Clones, right?
This was this was after Attack of the Clones, in the between period during the Clone Wars. Like in the original version of the Clone Wars, mind you.
I only know of the one version, so.
There's the Legends version of the Clone Wars, and there's our version, the one we have now, the real good show.
Oh, you're talking about the cartoon? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in the original Clone War, like during the time of the original Clone, like in the non-canon Clone Wars, he showed Anakin that not all were the same. Yes, Tusken Raiders have developed a bad image, but not all of them were the way they were. There's different tribes of them on Tatooine, and they even fight with each other about that stuff, about either being regular beings that just trying to live, and then you got the ones that are savages.
Okay.
So years have passed.
Feral, I guess, is the best way
Feral. And he was a master of Jar Kai two saber combat, which was two sabers in each a saber in each hand. He after the purge, he didn't sense the purge because he was far off world. Like he didn't even have a clone unit with him.
Well, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump hadn't even been around in that time. I'm sorry, that was a joke.
It was a go. I just thought I had to stop for the. You just broke my laugh midway through. So what he did was he went back to the only thing he knew. He went back to Tatooine to be a Tusken. But then he started to fall back into his darkness and started becoming one of those feral, savage raiders. He dueled Obi-Wan before they got to the Lars homestead because they were going to raid it. Obi-Wan defeated him. He begged Obi-Wan to kill him. Obi-Wan said, no, your shame will be enough to exile you. Because it's a shame to remove the Tusken thing without admitting, like, in combat.
Right. Okay.
So, afterwards, he got on a ship and he left. He flew somewhere to the unknown region. Who is banging the screen door? It's going to piss me off. Hold on real quick. You're all the way far away. Hey, Mom! Who's banging on the screen? Damn.
Walker's still standing.
Oh, that was her. Oh, that was her. Shit. Nah, she just think I yelled at her. Oh, great. I was trying to yell at the kids.
The biggest thing that leads to a lot of people's distaste for these films is how much was sacrificed as far as canon goes, just to make Rey out to be this, I would go further than say Mary Sue and just call her like Ave Maria at this point because.
See, there's one person she reminds me of from the Legends who was just like her in a different sense.
But not like someone who lived on a desert planet for most of her life yet perfectly knows how to use a skiff on water.
No, but her abilities, this one chick, her abilities, I can say for the let's just say if canon can have one, I think the Legends has one Mary Sue. I keep forgetting her name, but let's just say this: she ripped a hole at 17 years old. Ripped a hole in space with the Force. What does that tell you?
Well, here in 40K, we just call that opening the warp storm.
So I mean, like, when that happened, I was like, okay, that was just overbearing. But anyway, oh yeah, back to this.
Happy birthday, Jack Williams.
back to what I wanted to finish that thing to help you out with who Crate was, and then this guy, I'll just call him the Tusken Jedi. He went to. He landed to the unknown regions, and he was captured by the Yuuzhan Vong. And after that, after he was freed, he used the dark side to free himself because he was tortured by them. He landed on Korriban, and he stood in the Sith temple, trained by the soul. I believe it was Adendu.
Just pause for a second there, Jacqueline. So your birthday's on the 3rd, dude. Your birthday's a day after mine. I'm gonna be 33 on the 2nd.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I think it was Adendu or it was another ancient Sith that trained this guy. He stood in the temple at the beginning at the rise of the Empire, because all this happened. His incident with the Yuuzhan Vong and all that, because he escaped during the first beginning parts of the Purge, and what had happened afterwards, he swore to defeat these new Sith Lords. He didn't know that Anakin was Vader or anything like that, but he was like, I'm going to defeat. He found out that Palpatine was the Emperor though, so he says, I'm going to train all aspects in the Force and even train in this dark art. And when he came out, he was extremely powerful, but he came out 5 years, no, it wasn't 5 years, it was a few years after they fell.
Who's this you're talking about?
His name's Darth Krayt. I only know his Sith name.
Because the only guy I know who trained Darth Sidious was Darth Plagueis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
So what I'm saying is he came out of the temple, and then that's when he found out that they were already defeated. Yeah. So he had nothing. What? So he left again.
I've noticed some people saying things like, "Is the dark side actually more powerful?" or whatever. And you know, from the look, like at first glance, you'd say, "Yeah."
But it's also dependent. It's really also dependent on the user itself.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say, as far as who's more powerful, is that it's just the dark side.
The thing
The
about
dark side, by its very nature, is more aggressive.
It
yeah.
Aggressive, it's very aggressive in nature, and it's.
But when you look at Yoda, when he was fighting Count Dooku, he was absorbing Dooku's lightning and then just nullifying it out of well, not even rebounding it. The second time he caught it, he just squeezed it out of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, much to learn, you still have. And to me, that's like thinking.
And Yoda's been alive. Let's say, if we do the math correctly, he said
900 years. Yeah.
Like 900 and something years, because you know he's got to have a couple of extra ages on him.
Yeah, he probably rounded it off.
So Yoda is the example that I don't think Yoda could use. I guarantee he could use the dark side without corruption.
No, I don't think that's quite correct.
Mace Windu does it.
He doesn't use the dark side. He uses a dark ability, but to say that he's using the but to outright say that he's using the dark side of the Force, I think is inaccurate.
That's what is thought, but when it's also his lightsaber color and his variation of skill, because he explained it himself how he's able to do it. He explained it that he is using.
Funny thing, Samuel L. Jackson just wanted a purple lightsaber.
That's the thing, but they did eventually. Remember, Bane had a purple lightsaber.
Who?
Darth Bane.
Oh, Darth Bane.
Yeah, he had a purple.
Where's Jedi Batman?
I wonder. But about him, he said that he's tapping into the dark side of the Force, but he's also using a similar style that's very on martial arts, where you take someone's energy also into yourself and rebound it. And his lightsaber, what do you get when you mix to even his color? The color variation in Legends was to be confirmed as he's using the light and the dark. And what do you get when you mix red and blue together? You get purple. At the time when crystals took the well, no, in the canon, crystals take the shape, the color now of who you are, and that's what his color took, because Mace Windu himself has a dark side, but instead of giving to it, he's channeling it.
Well, Mace Windu, from what I've seen, he does have the ability to be a bit more aggressive in his fighting style.
Mm-hmm. Because he's really the only few. Palpatine stated who he fears. Well, and Anakin was one of them, because if Anakin never succumbed, Anakin could have tore him apart. Just with raw power alone, if you ticked them off, basically. But it's his focus that prevented him from succeeding. Because had he had more focus in his fight with Obi-Wan, because you saw that Obi-Wan wasn't the pusher in that whole fight. He was just defending himself to survive and wait for an opening.
Which fight are you talking about?
Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like, you saw that throughout the fight, it was Anakin who pushed all power into him. Huh?
Yeah, but at the same time, Obi-Wan didn't want to kill Anakin. He didn't want to fight him.
That's true.
So there's it's not just a difference in ability. Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan had a motivation for not fighting him.
Yeah, it was towards when they got to the lava bed is when his restraints were starting to come off. But even then, he couldn't really contend.
Even then, I think Obi-Wan still restrained himself because he didn't outright kill Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, someone would look at what he did to Anakin anyway and say, "Well, that's pretty fucking sadistic, leaving the guy on the side of a mountain to burn."
Yeah. But I mean, he assumed that there he would have died. But think about Maul.
Well,
Maul's hatred alone kept him alive.
I find that to be kind of silly. I mean, the guy was literally... He was literally sushi'd in half there. I mean...
Yeah, But there was also a couple people like, Malik. Malik, you see why he wear... You remember Darth Malik, right?
I mean, when I picture Darth Maul being alive after that, I picture that one villain from Wild Wild West who's got that...
Oh man, it's been a while since I heard about that damn thing. Oh god.
You know who I'm talking about though, right? The guy who can't breathe and all this thing.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I did watch that a long time ago.
That's what I thought of when I heard that Darth Maul survived. I'm thinking, oh great, we have a version of this guy now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, then when we got to generations went by, Crate finally came out. He was looking for the perfect, and then he created the rule of the one Sith. All will serve the true Sith Lord. He won't take an apprentice. You serve him or you die. It's almost like a what's that term? That's in real life. That type of person. It's very much like that, but an extremist.
You can tell I have certain political views.
Yeah, he was a Sith extremist, basically an extremist overlord.
Right.
And his Sith powers ended up exceeding Palpatine's. He could engulf you. Yeah.
Go ahead and finish. Go
okay.
ahead and finish.
He would engulf somebody in lightning, and it wouldn't hurt you.
Okay.
Like the lightning would be around you, and at any second, if he snaps his fingers, like a Thanos snap, that shock, you're not there no more.
Also, he's basically holding back the lightning just barely. That's what you're saying.
Just barely. It's surrounding you to that point. And his lightning color can change because it shows that when people use certain forms of force lightning, depending on how powerful you are, the color could change. Palpatine.
Sorry, I'm fighting.
What's going on?
I'm fighting the Chaos Dreadnought at the moment here.
And right now I'm losing Echo Base, but this is movie accurate, so why not?
Well, I'm a single Inquisitor fighting against.
I just got hit. I got sliced by Vader.
Against traitor Marines, which are actually a bit more beefier than I am.
Oh lord. Well, I just broke the cannon. Anakin's in Hoth.
I should have told R2
But you know what's funny? I like that about this video game.
Anakin was in Hoth.
Vader.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Palpatine and Anakin. Let's go. Let's go.
What I was gonna say before all that though was there. As far as what I've read in terms of Star Wars lore, there is one Jedi who matched Palpatine in terms of, well, you know I'm a big fan of the Thrawn trilogy, right?
Yeah. You've told me that.
I've forgotten the name of that dark Jedi that he finds on that one planet though. The one he uses as a surrogate emperor to coordinate the forces of the
Hamsabayoth.
Yes, the insane Jedi.
Yeah, Hamsabayoth, who created that Luke clone and gave him the blue saber. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
See, to me, that was one example of, not a MacGuffin, but a Jedi who was able to match like what the Emperor could do. He was literally mentally controlling the remnants of the Empire.
And that's the thing. When and Crate was after him, and Crate's power ended up exceeding them. Because when you ever watch the Stupendous Wave?
I don't think I have.
He made a video explaining who Crate was and how everything is in detail, and Crate exceeded at that time. He was the most powerful Sith in history. The only people that hated him was when he went to the temples of other Sith Lords. The ancient Sith mocked him. But that only because let's be real, the Kreia, I think her name is Kreia or Treya, the Sith lady. One of the two names with her. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
Okay. She was in Knights of the Old Republic too. She's that lady that's with you all the time.
Oh, the one that has her eyes covered.
Yes. She tells them all that the ancient Sith make any Sith past that point playing with toys.
All transports ready to launch. We did what we were asked.
So that fueled Crate because Crate was the only closest one to that power, but nobody, not even Palpatine, could have that power because it would still pervert it in that view.
This is what makes me really sad that we never got George Lucas's vision for the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Because what he wanted to do, he wanted to explore the origins of the Force itself.
Yeah. which a lot of people, I can understand a lot of people probably wouldn't get around that, because then, think about it, we would also be following beings that are, see, I would think the way they could do that, they would have to go back to at least keep it in some form of, for us to see it and able to process it, they would have to go to the Jedi Order where they had swords instead of sabers.
Or not even proto-sabers, yeah.
Well, the swords were before the proto-sabers, because the proto-sabers were still also, they were still very risky to use because the Sith had lightsabers, full-fledged sabers. I think in the EU, the Sith were the ones that invented the lightsaber first, and the Jedi adopted it. But now it's on both ends.
Oh, I thought the proto-saber was the first
for the Jedi
prototype. Well, no, I mean the first. I mean technology-wise, I thought.
Technology, yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't think about that. But then the way it's portrayed, though, in that time point, the Jedi were experimenting with the proto-sabers while the Sith had already figured out how to imbue a weapon of that stature. Because I actually wouldn't mind seeing like them go that far, and we could see traditional sword fights, but these blades would glow with the power of the Force.
See, to me personally, I still see the color of the saber more as a scientific reaction to
the yeah. See, that's a good. I like. Who's knocking on my door?
AT-ATs are en route to breach the base defenses.
At this point in this house, like the way these kids are, I have to. No BS. I have to pull. Oh, that's you, Ma? It's open. Anyway, but see, this is why I say I like both continuities, and I can understand that the canon continuity is very rocky. I'm the first one to admit that. Not everything works, but why should people hate both continuities when if you put continuities together, you'd have more continuity to enjoy? And I understand we want to see Legends brought.
I don't really see it as hating one or the other. I just think that when an entire saga has already been released, stating a foundation of rules in a given universe, for the sequels to try and
subvert that.
Not just subvert it, but completely retcon it.
Yeah.
It breaks the universe in a very significant way.
And then I would be sorry for us if we did get some of Legends, because those Force powers and that abilities are like over the charts. I still say if compared to what these people have done, like I will always believe what Trey said, even in the this applies, I think, to both continuity. I would say I would like to apply it to both continuities. No matter what these people are doing, if we were to see an ancient being use the Force, then we would be like, great, Star Wars has jumped the shark. Because I mean, come on, let's be real. If we saw Star Killer in a film rip a Star Destroyer, we would call that jumping the shark.
Yeah, we probably would.
See, I can understand Kyle. See, I was shocked, and you know what's funny? The one thing people didn't complain about was that second of I've never seen, and I don't know if you've seen, and I've looked at even people who dislike the film. No one criticized that little moment of bolt of Force lightning that girl did.
Who, Ray?
Yeah.
Oh yes, they did.
Really? Because I didn't see. And before
have you been watching Overlord DVD's channel?
I have on and off, but I've been trying to watch multiple people from both perspectives. So it's like I haven't taken the time to just sit down and watch someone straight through like multiple videos. I try to grab as much as possible. What I thought of it is, and there's actually one thing, and it was actually from Legends, and it's somewhat brought into canon because of Maul. A little bit of Maul. Maul being a Sith apprentice, and even in Sith apprentices in the EU, have you ever read Red Harvest?
No, I haven't.
I'd highly recommend if you get a chance to read that.
Yeah, I haven't really been able to delve too much into the whole Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
Like, I probably know more lore about Warhammer right now
than we do Star Wars. And that's the thing, you back me with Warhammer, and I back you with Star Wars, even though the stuff I say, a lot of people find it hard to believe, but then when I bring up where to find it, they're like, oh hell, He wasn't lying. Because that's why I that's why I say, not everything can justify everything, but it could give a clear understanding of where this idea might come from.
Right.
See, with Red Harvest, the Sith apprentices in that book were able to contend with that of a Sith master.
Take care too, Jack. See you later.
Oh, somebody left your.
Yep, he said he had to go. So.
The Sith apprentices in that story were able to contend with full-powered Sith masters. So I'm thinking, since Rey has the blood, and also family and blood has a lot to do with it, because look at Luke. He is still, even though it was untrained. You're right.
As much as I would agree with you, given that she's Palpatine's granddaughter, it doesn't make sense that Palpatine's Palpatine's immediate offspring, his son, was some drunk who sold her for money. Like,
no,
really?
but that was did you get a chance to watch the movie? Because they kind of slightly.
I'm a huge fan of Mark Hamill, and I respect him a lot because of the roles that he's played. Not just in Batman as the Joker, but he's also done a lot of. He's also actually voiced a lot of roles in anime films. If you.
I hope that they get him. I like a lot of obviously the one I'm famous with knowing him for is Joker.
He actually had a role, believe it or not, in a Macross movie. Robotech. What's it called?
I remember he was in, what was it called, Guyver?
Yeah. But based on my, based on my out of principle, I kind of, to watch those films, the new films, especially because Luke's character was butchered so horribly.
Yeah.
Like, have you played Star Wars Jedi Outcast?
Oh, I have. Trust me, I got them. I beat it a long time ago. I just have to go back and redo it again.
But like, you'll realize that even Luke, like even with a character like Desan, who clearly is otherwise irredeemable, right? Even with a character like Desan, Luke still, you could sense that Luke still had
a
sense of hope. Yeah. Where when I didn't see it because I didn't watch the film, but when I watched the people's reactions to Luke wanting to kill Kylo just because he might have dark tendencies.
See, there was something. See, that's the thing. I was actually, believe it or not, and a lot of people didn't believe it that I shared this mindset. I shared that mindset when I saw the film. That was actually a scene I never defended. But then something came out in canon that almost made me wonder, oh fuck, they're really trying hard to justify that. And this canon, this part in the canon comic, it's a 50-50. You can view it differently or not. Luke. Should we call it the post-Lucas canon? Basically, Luke. What happened in this little section? Come and find out, during Luke's adventures around the galaxy, trying to gather these artifacts and all that, he had so many encounters that Luke developed PTSD.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm saying. It's a 50-50 whether you can. I know that is where I'm.
That's almost like accepting one guy's version of Batman where he gets raped in prison.
See what happened? Like, and then Luke found out a lot of what Anakin did. Like, he found recordings of what happened at the temple. So you would think if you have PTSD, let's put it in that a little bit in that context. I'm not trying to justify it, but let's put it in this context.
Right. Okay.
If Luke saw what his father did in the temple recordings, and all this stuff is causing him to have PTSD in his adventures, because he's fought the Knights of Ren already before Kylo took them over. They're confirmed to be Dark Jedi. They're just using ancient Sith weaponry.
So hold on. You're saying that Luke fought the Knights of Ren?
Why
was this never shown in any of the movies?
That's the one thing. See, that's a criticism that I have, that a lot was left on the cutting room floor that has to be explained through other media, which could have been explained. Like, I wouldn't care if Star Wars be a 3-hour film to explain a lot of stuff.
Well,
I will sit
there's
through
that,
it.
and then there's Ryan Johnson just wanting to subvert everyone's expectations by
Yeah.
changing everything just for the sake of change. He literally did it just for the sake of changing things.
Yeah.
I mean,
see,
imagine Shyamalan, but on steroids.
oh yeah. See, the thing is, but a lot of people are upset with Luke of what he did. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone has a right to be. Don't get me wrong. That's true. But when you look at Dark Empire, believe it or not, he turned to the Sith. He became Palpatine's apprentice, which is something Luke would never do.
I don't think I ever saw... See, there was one comic I remember from my childhood. Luke wasn't outright a Dark Jedi, but he was...
That was actually... No, brother. He had Dark Jedi tendencies because he was trying to find the balance in himself. But Palpatine...
Yeah.
See...
But this one comic I saw, he approaches... He comes across this one room filled with vats of,
Palpatine clones.
Well, I don't even think they were Palpatine clones. I think they were.
No, they were the clones of Palpatine, because that was the one he came across in the novel and in the
Really?
They were Palpatine clones. See, that's another thing. I can admit, as a Star Wars fan, I was never a fan of the Palpatine clone thing because it doesn't make sense. Palpatine clones, you can like the video game Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. That was a game mechanic. The video game, you had to let it go because it was a video game. But in the Legends,
Star Killer was a genetically engineered Jedi from the get-go.
Yeah. So what had happened is clones cannot
He had that
possess.
special Metal Gear brand approved gene therapy.
Yeah. You can't see, and then even Palpatine said it. These bodies are not sufficient for the dark side. He just had to keep splitting. What he wanted to do was essence transfer Luke after he fully trained him. But Luke still pulled through at the end for his sister.
Well, that should have been a motivation that was, presented to us as the viewers.
As the viewers, yeah. And that's what I agree. They should have done that, and they didn't. But with his PTSD aspect, I can understand now why he threw the saber. He's like, look, I don't want to do this shit no more. Because of that. But Luke should have at least somewhat felt that, okay, I may not use a saber, but my Jedi knowledge should be able to help, like my consolation. Because green sabers belong to Jedi counselors, not warriors. Warriors are usually blue.
See, I never really understood that. See, I thought that, color was basically just sort of a personal...
It was, but it also...
A personal measure of skill in the engineering of a lightsaber rather than just someone's attunement?
Even the Legends had attunement a little bit, but yes, it was more on the scientific aspect because the colors were already... What they did in the Legends was that the colors were already colored. Like, the saber crystals were already colored. It would call to you if that was your color, and it also determined, are you a warrior? Are you a consular? Are you a protector of the way? Which is what a yellow saber is. You're a guardian and a sentinel, which is a protector of the way.
Okay.
And...
Okay, well, how does that explain, This is gonna be a really weird question. But going back to Jedi Outcast,
yeah,
how would you perceive a character like Kyle Katarn, a man who disconnected himself from the Force, but then had to go back and he didn't use okay. Here's my big question, and I'm sorry for all the rambling in between.
It's all right. It's all good.
Do you think the Valley of the Jedi should be part of the canon, or do you think it's just a Deus Ex Machina?
See, that was a tough one. That actually is a tough one right there.
I told you it was going to be a bit of a tough question.
If to look at it, refresh me because I actually forgot about the Valley of the Jedi for some time. Doesn't it power you up about something?
The Valley of the Jedi is said to be able to imbue people with the power of the Force, whether they are Force sensitive or not.
Okay.
Because in Star Wars Jedi Outcast, you fight a lot of
original people that are not imbued.
Yeah, well, they were Dark Jedi. And after you face the first Dark Jedi that they throw at you, Kyle Katarn makes a comment saying that he said he looked like a Jedi and he fought like a Jedi, but his powers felt so warped.
That it was
Like-
given to him, yeah.
Yeah, like he didn't earn the power. He didn't grow in his powers of the
It was
Force.
given to him.
It's like it was injected into him. Yeah.
So if we look at then if I look at it like that,
Yeah,
If-
Reborn. Sorry, my
the
brother just
Reborns.
left a comment. They're called the Reborn. Yeah.
If we look at it like that, if it's to be brought into canon, it should be done differently. It actually be, you know how Sith Lords have what are we called dark side nexuses that increase their power? That should be the equivalent to the Jedi. So if the Valley of the Jedi is located on Yavin, right?
I don't know exactly where it's located. See, I didn't play the game before Jedi Outcast. I only played Jedi Outcast.
Yeah, because Luke's
But
temple is on
all
Yavin.
Well, here's the thing. In the Valley, actually, okay, in the game,
Mm-hmm.
you face the sun in the temple where there's this. I guess if you call it, would you call it a reservoir, or would you call it a?
It was the Temple of Exar Kun.
There was this geyser, I guess, in the center of the temple
Yeah.
that had the exact same effect as the Valley of the Jedi. When you stood on that pedestal, you were overflowing with powers of the Force. So basically,
It's a
like you set
nexus.
the game- Yeah, so it's basically like setting the Force powers to 9 on the console commands, you know?
Yeah. So what I'm thinking about that is if they were to do that, don't bring it in the aspect that it could just give you the power. Like it could just give a person that's not a force wielder force wielding ability.
Well, they showed how people who were not in tune to begin with were
Mhm.
very warped. They could fight, but not properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weird part is, it's supposed to be the Valley of the Jedi, but Luke's temple is the Temple of Exar Kun, where he was buried. Because he didn't start the academy there just yet. They had to destroy his spirit.
They had to do an exorcism, so to speak.
So yeah, basically.
Okay.
And in canon, the ghosts can fight you back, and they can still use their powers, their weapons, everything. You have to destroy the spirit to fully destroy the person. That goes for the
Okay,
Jedi
hold
when
on.
they become ghosts.
So, is this the ghosts that fight you?
Mhm.
Is this something that happens in the game, or is this something that happens in the novels?
It happens in both aspects.
Both aspects. You
Like
mean
in Legends. Here's an example.
Okay.
When Exar Kun when he was alive and he went to go learn the teachings of being a Sith. He went to a Sith's temple. I keep forgetting all these.
Hold on, my brother just left a comment. They had the powers, but were not trained to use them. That's like saying you're fighting a bunch of Rays.
Let me see these. I gotta find what's Frida Nad. That's the name of the Sith Lord that trained the Sith spirit that trained Exar Kun, Frida Nad. And to complete the training, Exar Kun had to fully destroy Nad's spirit in combat. So the ghosts. So a lot of people said that, oh, it don't make sense. Yoda can use the Force in the afterlife. Yes, he can. If the Sith were able to do it,
It was never shown in the film. That's
and how
why-
it can be done, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
you
Legends
have
thing that
done
needed
it-
to be explained.
The biggest problem with these films, whether or not, and here's the thing, when
Mhm.
Disney said that nothing else is canon anymore, they basically, like, anyone who says that, well, look at all of this other stuff from the extended universe, well, if Disney says the extended universe is no longer canon, then where's all this bullshit coming from?
Yeah, and then they tease that a little bit of, because they can still choose from the Legends now, which is now they have Jon Favreau
That's
and
like
Dave Filoni.
saying, I mean, that's the biggest double standard
Oh,
if I've
shit.
ever heard it, you know?
Mhm. So what I thought about is they also cleverly sneaked in that they were going to be bringing Legends back by Ahsoka,
Who's Ahsoka?
Anakin's apprentice.
His first apprentice, or
The girl
The girl.
from the Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. You'll have to forgive me because I
Yes,
didn't actually watch Clone Wars. I think my sister has it. But
The Cartoon Network
I
one.
was kind of, I was kind of turned off from the Clone Wars because I thought it looked really
It
bizarre.
got real, but it improved a hell of a lot once you got to I give it the first few seasons are rocky, but once you get to Maul,
Yeah.
it's
From
all
what
pulled
I
apart.
understand from fans who watch it, it's a really good series that follows canon really well,
Mhm.
and I'll give it credit for that. my reluctance to watch it basically just came from the fact that it looks like, you know, really bad CG at first.
Yeah, the CG at the so I was saying the CG in the first few seasons all rocky, but it does improve by the time you also get to Rebels.
Who am I fighting now?
But then in Rebels, they slipped in Ahsoka saying there are truth in Legends, and ever since then, Legends continuity has been coming into the fray.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Somebody's getting you. I'm on the Battle of Geonosis.
I'm using the heavy flamer to try and take out this demented psyker. Oh god, those are not fun.
So she had put in that line, a lot of stuff, even ships that are from the Legends perspective have been popping up in canon, like what are they called, the Hammerhead ships that they used in Rogue One.
Okay.
You remember that ship that crashed into the Imperial Star Destroyer and it pushed it into the other Star Destroyer?
Yeah, I thought that was just a variation of the Blockade Runner.
Yeah, it is, but it's also
which turns out to be an escape pod for a bigger ship.
that's actually, those were Legend ships, and when people saw them pop into Rogue One to pop it up, they were like, oh crap! What? Legend ships? So it's like little things are being brought back. Now, I'm looking forward to, you can guarantee that what's his name? Jon Favreau is going to be taking over.
Who?
The person that did that created the Mandalorian.
Oh, they're gonna have him take over?
Without saying it, but they're already putting the seeds in place with between him and Bob Iger. Like, you can see their close relationship and how he's distancing himself from Kathleen Kennedy. And then Dave Filoni, who did the Clone Wars and Rebels.
Doesn't Kathleen Kennedy still have, final say in decision making?
At this point, it seems like Jon Favreau is.
Well, until Kathleen Kennedy is fired,
which is you can guarantee is gonna happen soon.
I'm still gonna have a little gravestone for the Star Wars franchise. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. See, with him, once he takes over, he's already doing the Old Republic. It's stated.
Well, he's doing the Old Republic. You'll have to elaborate on that.
He's gonna do the whole Revan thing as well.
He's gonna write the story for it?
Him and Dave Filoni are now working on it. While they're working on Mandalorian. The Mandalorian show is gonna be, he says when they do season 2, it's gonna be giving you hints at what will come from the Old Republic.
Okay.
Which is why I'm really looking forward to that. See, I'm debating, should the Old Republic be a live-action series or a trilogy on its own? Because the Old Republic, no, that ain't a trilogy. That is a saga in itself.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic was a game that was how long?
Well, I'm not talking about, guys, I guess the Knights of the Old Republic game and one thing, like games and movies, here's the thing I want them to do. Because then you're going to go in with the weight of feeling that, are they going to follow it? Which they don't necessarily have to. They can create a whole brand. See, you know who I want for the hero of that trilogy? I want Revan in one way. Him be the villain first, and then the hero again. Like, start him off as the villain. And then we dive into his backstory, because then you need Basta Lashan. Yes, you need Basta Lashan there, and make her the hero. But think about it, they need to have a relationship for Satele, because Satele is their descendant.
Okay.
So, I was talking with one of my friends, and I had conscripted in a way in my head of how the Old Republic can work. And
check something through my,
I want characters that haven't come across, like, in the Legends, there's characters that haven't come across each other because of time period differences. Like Malak and Bane, and Revan and crap, there was another one. Shit, I forgot that, he was on the top of my head. But I would say make Bane the villain. Like Darth Bane the villain, and have his apprentice be Darth Malgus instead of Darth what's her name?
Once you witness the destruction of your rebel alliance, then you will have my goodness to die.
You know Darth Malgus is the closest thing like that, right? You can't say he's not.
I don't really know about him, so I'll have to take your word for that.
Okay, Malgus is. Have you seen the? You've seen the little CGI trailers to the Old Republic MMO? He's that one guy you see with the bald head, the veiny gray skin with the eyes, and he's got this apparatus on his mouth.
Oh, him?
Yes, that's Malgus.
I recognize the image, but I've never actually seen his character in the game. When I had an Xbox, I never had the game long enough to go too far into it.
Oh, he wasn't brought into the original games. He was established now in the MMO. That's non-canon.
Oh no, he was in Knights of the Old Republic.
Was he? Malgus?
Yeah,
I thought no, that's Malik. There's two guys with an M. There's two guys with an M. Yeah, Malik and Malgus.
So there must be two guys then with like a face with like a mouth.
Malik has that too because he lost his jaw.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That sounds painful in a way that I wouldn't want to live through.
But yeah, that's first place like always. Here we go.
Why is it the Sith always have these horrendous injuries?
Well, what happens with using the dark side at its full potency, it actually also starts to deteriorate your body.
I mean, I could see. I mean, how come we never see a Jedi that has like a grievous injury that's sort of their mark of?
Because they can somewhat heal it if it's not that far.
Oh, okay. That's another thing that I have take a little issue with this whole idea about force healing and how Rey just does it out of nowhere because she can.
But what about the only thing is, when I saw Baby Yoda do it, I was like, he's still a baby though. I know he's supposed to be strong and all, but I mean, can we give like the thing is, I like him, but I'm not in this frenzy with him.
Pretty good. Matt Pat from Film Theory actually did a really good video on Baby Yoda and why they're.
I wonder if this shares my theory because I do have a theory. But go ahead, yeah.
He was talking about why he's technically 50 years old despite being
infancy.
An infant.
Yeah.
Apparently, there are some species that have a very long incubation rate. And for Yoda's species, it happens to be 50 years. That happens to be a period of 50 years. And it also explains why we don't see many of his species, because with such a long incubation rate, that means that there's very little chance for offspring to survive when they take so long to grow up.
But what's so funny is also there's something that somebody had. It was noticed that Yaddle. You remember Yaddle, the female Yoda that was on the council in episode 1?
I I kind of forgot she even existed. I was more focused on Mace Windu questioning Anakin at the time.
They always noticed that Yoda and her worked personally together. And before the Clone Wars, she vanished. And Yoda was depressed about that. So I'm wondering, and in 50 years, if the baby can incubate it and be 50 years, that's the very time period between then and the end of Return of the 5 years to Return of the Mandalorian, after Return of the Jedi. The math adds up. So could this possibly, if weaved incorrectly, Yoda being the father of that child?
So you're saying that he might be an illegitimate child of Yoda then, or?
It could be, because Yaddle,
unless he was legally married to Yaddle.
That's the thing. There's a hypocrisy about marriage because Ki-Adi-Mundi has 8 wives.
Well, my slight problem with the whole marriage idea is that if Yoda was married to someone, why wouldn't he at least send her like a letter or some sort of message when he decided to go over to Dagobah?
Because Yaddle wasn't alive. It was confirmed that Yaddle's not alive by that point. She's dead.
Oh, okay.
But we don't know what happened. It could possible that she had a child. Because it looks just like, we can't say that every Yoda species looked the same, because Yaddle looked different. She had a brownish green and more hair and a different figure to being short. You know, she was short, yes, but she had a different body type. She was more thinner, where Yoda looks a little bit more roundish.
Yoda got thick, eh?
Hey, it's called the marriage weight or the baby weight. Well, not the baby weight, but you know you're a parent when you know you're a parent when you put on weight.
Who gave birth to this creature?
Huh?
I was gonna say, who gave birth to this creature?
Well, that's the thing. It's also confirmed that the Yoda race is asexual.
Well, that's an uncomfortable thought.
Yeah, it really is. So that makes me wonder. The only way I'll accept that.
That makes me wonder. Was Mace Windu equal parts disgusted and horrified at the prospect of fighting Yoda?
My only thing, the only reason the only way I will let this slide is if they do it in a Demon King Piccolo sense, where he spits up the egg like he spat up Piccolo. Hey, as stupid as it may be, would you let that go?
I was thinking that when Yoda finally lets loose and does that scream at Mace Windu, is that him doing a battle cry, or is he just PMSing?
So that's what I'm saying. As far out that theory would be, would you let that one slide? That he spits an egg or something? It'd be better than shitting an egg. Would you tell me?
I don't know. Can you imagine him? Can you imagine him forgetting that he's incubating while on the council, and all you hear is, "Can't they see this egg come out?"
It always makes me wonder. You know that sound he makes where he goes, "Oh." Makes me wonder. Or Yaddle could have asexually produced the baby.
Oh God, really, brother? Hooker's unnecessary for Yoda's race. Hey, hookers don't do it for fun, bro. They do it to make money.
So yeah, I mean, I would let that little one slide a little bit if it's given a very genetic not a genetic, but a little scientific explanation.
I mean,
with the race. We don't know nothing about the species.
Even if they were an asexual race and Yoda was never shown to have any eggs, it would make sense because there's this certain there's this unspoken vow of chastity, I think, among the Jedi, isn't there?
Like, what do you mean? Like, refresh me a little bit. What are talking about with like love and relationship?
Exactly.
There is and there isn't, but there is there's a bit of a hypocrisy with that because Kiadi Mundi, you know the guy with the big head, that's got a long head.
Yeah, the one who gets murdered.
Shot up. Magneto. Yeah. Him. He has 8 wives, approved by the council. So.
Sorry, my brother again. Poor Yoda trying to squeeze out an egg like Yoshi.
Oh shit! Alright, that's a good one. That's a good one. What I'm thinking is, Anakin. And you know what's funny? Yoda, out of all people, it's Yoda's call at the end of the day, and I don't think Yoda would have exiled Anakin. In fact, I think he would have taken the children and had them ready, like indoctrinated already upon birth.
Well, that's why, like, we see early on that they only accept Jedi who are, like, younger than even younger than Anakin was when they first found him.
Yeah.
They start them when they're like 5 years old or something. Anakin was probably 11 or 12 by the time that, or no, he was about 7 or 8, I think, by the time that he
9
was found. 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 years old by the time Qui-Gon found him.
Yeah.
And even then, he was considered too old.
But that's the thing. It was also the fear. They didn't want to train him. They were already prejudging him.
Okay, so in a biblical sense, there's this thing called the Age of Understanding. Are you familiar with it?
Actually, no, I'm not.
So when the Bible talks about the Age of Understanding, they usually talk about a child who's reached the age of 7. It means that after 7 years, they've basically got an idea of right and wrong, and they know they know how to act.
Yeah.
What's expected of them and such? Because usually around that age, they're expected to help around the household, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think the reason the Jedi don't want people that are any older, or perhaps like any older than 7, or perhaps even younger, is because they're still at that impressionable state in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the point. That would be the point in their life where the dark side or the light side would have the strongest influence.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they try to get to That's why they try to get to them a little early with the Jedi way. And what was funny is before, because you know, Plagueis was alive during the Phantom Menace. He didn't die until at the end.
But the thing is, Darth Sidious killed him in his sleep.
He killed him. He killed him after the election.
That story like he's reminiscing.
Yeah, after the it was confirmed that it was after. Remember when Palpatine said that he was now at the end, the Queen was like, you know, congratulations on your election, Chancellor. He did it right that night. Before
you're saying Darth Plagueis was the acting head of the council.
He was supposed to be. This is how it was originally going to go. Plagueis was going to break the rule of 2 by doing this. Palpatine would have been Chancellor, and he would have been the co-Chancellor.
Oh my god.
That would have been the role. Then he would have broken the rule of 2, and they would have trained Sith acolytes to siege the temple and destroy the Jedi. But then when Plagueis... See, Plagueis was experimenting with immortality and to create life. And then when the Force reacted back at him and Anakin was born, he was scared shitless. Because he was like, did I just undo the legacy that was laid before us? Because he saw a vision, like, you know when they first landed and Anakin and them first got to Coruscant together? He was watching from afar, and the moment he saw that boy, he had a vision of Vader. He just didn't know it was Vader. But he saw that boy becoming the most evil thing that could have come out.
Essentially the most powerful Sith in the galaxy when Vader was at his prime.
Yeah. So what happened was, he was like, what the hell? And there was an in-between moment when... Remember when Anakin was staying at the Padme's suite? Right. Before the temple? Before Qui-Gon... because Qui-Gon came to pick him up to take him to the temple. So there's supposed to be a scene in between. Plagueis wanted to go meet the boy. He used mind trick to get by everyone to get in because he wanted to speak and meet the boy personally. He had no ill will toward him at all, actually. He wanted to... He was the only Sith Lord that did not want death upon Anakin, did not want anything upon Anakin. He just wanted to see him. And Palpatine was the one with like, maybe we should like, Palpatine was like, we should not train, I should not train, like, you should not take this boy because that would break the rule of 2, and that was one of the reasons why he killed him. But then Palpatine saw the power in the boy, and he was like, you know what, maybe I can succeed where my master probably would not. Yeah.
Warp storms.
It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that. It's a lot of stuff that.
Someone's trying to rip my body to pieces with a warp storm and it's following me around the room.
And right now I'm facing Grievous with Anakin. Woo! How many kills am I in? Ah, damn. I joined the game late, but 28's not bad for joining at the final round.
Ooh, I got a Psyker on my side. That's actually cool. So, I guess in 40k lore, Psykers are like the closest thing to the Jedi. Because they have like literally psychic abilities.
Oh, damn! That's
yeah. When it comes to 40k, these psychic abilities usually involve summoning walls of fire to just eviscerate their enemies.
Oh lord.
Oh yeah.
I just prestige level 80.
Oh nice.
He's yeah. All my heroes. People say that some heroes are broken. No, all my heroes are broken. In my hands, they're broken.
I'm just gonna. Huh? I usually go beyond because when a mission ends in this game, it's not necessarily the end of the map.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always go in and you can always find this optional boss if you look carefully enough. One time I literally took on a tank.
Oh Jesus!
And oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
So, oh yeah, this one thing I was just wondering is that there was also a lot of scenarios with Plagueis. He feels one of the reasons why he was also fascinated is because he felt that he also played a part in Anakin's creation because of the manipulation that he was doing.
Oh shit! Okay.
And that's why he was just so fascinated. He's like, did I succeed in creating life? Who is yelling?
Wait, who succeeded?
Plagueis thought he had succeeded.
Why did Plagueis think he created life again?
Because that's what they were trying to do when Palpatine was sort of trying to manipulate the midichlorians to create life. And it could be done, but it was done, but not through him, through the Force itself, through the wills. They created Anakin, which are the pure embodiments of the Force.
The ones that George Lucas originally wanted to show us, eh?
Yeah, and they're in the Clone Wars. They helped Yoda teach him to transcend his consciousness to become one with the Force.
Yeah, I thought that was Qui-Gon.
He did. He did. He was helping guide Yoda to when Yoda would die to do it. The day Yoda died, he had someone there to help guide him. That's what happened to Vader. In his final moments, Obi-Wan was there to help him transcend, without, you know, fading his body because his body was already being cremated.
Right.
And that wasn't Anakin's body really anymore. It was Vader's body.
Well, it was more machine than man.
Yeah. So it didn't.
Vader. I mean, in the end, Vader was Anakin, and he basically.
Yeah.
It's not that Vader and Anakin were two separate personalities. They were the same person. It's just that.
Well, Revan.
In Anakin's mind, he to himself was irredeemable.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's another person who's just like that. Was Darth Revan. When he redeemed himself, it split into two beings, the dark and the light, and it had two separate bodies. So Revan was himself, and the dark side became its own entity through the it had a body through the he had a body.
My brother's got a question here. Do you think Star Wars Battlefront 2 is worth it now, bro? The one from EA.
Well,
if that's your thing, I'd say yeah. Personally, I still like the space battles from the original Battlefront 2.
Well, this time, you know, they updated it with the space battles in this one actually have objectives in the mix.
Yeah, but what I mean is that the space battles in the original, you could actually board the enemy ship.
Oh, you can do that. You can do that in this.
Well,
I
don't know.
It's weird.
It's not only a personal choice; it's also the fact that my 1 terabyte hard drive on the PS4 is basically filled
gonna
with
die.
100 games, and I have my external 1 terabyte on top of that. That's also full.
Oh, I have a 5 TB external, and I haven't had to touch my my main hard drive from the PlayStation. Wow. And I'm still not full. I still have like 3,000 things to go.
Well, 5 terabytes? Yeah, that's pretty good.
I bought it when it was on special. That's why I caught it quick. But the thing is. Oh shit! I forgot what I was talking about. Was it Anakin, right?
We were talking about Anakin. His
So when he was created, Palpatine also did fear that, because if he had fully became the person he was meant to be, Palpatine would not stop him at all. He probably could. He couldn't. He admitted it, and he wasn't lying to Yoda. He couldn't even have stopped him in Revenge of the Sith if he had tried him.
Sorry. Brain fart here. I was actually thinking back to what you said earlier about boarding the enemy ship.
Oh yeah, that's a whole game mode in this. It's actually two game modes. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's my problem. See, in the original Battlefront 2, it was a seamless transition. You could get into a fighter on your ship, fly out in the battlefield, go into the hangar bay of the enemy ship, disembark, and then go in and fuck up the works.
Yeah. If you what's the thing? It was actually two. But the thing about Battlefront 2 and why I feel the PSP game, Elite Squadron, is actually superior to original Battlefront 2. In the aspect is that you can get in when you fight on the ground and you get in a ship, you could go right up and start getting to the space battle with the ship to ships.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
But in original Battlefront 2, you can only do it if you're in the space battle itself. Like, it doesn't go from ground to.
Oh, you're saying you can go from the ground?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Battlefront 3, though it was canceled officially on console platforms, Battlefront 3 survived on PSP.
Okay.
That's why
they must have had to fudge the scale up a little bit in order for that to work on a handheld.
But it worked very well. It was one of the best. Yeah. It's considered one of the best Battlefronts, but it's been forgotten because it was on the PSP. It also brought in. It was a Legends thing too. It had Legends characters in the game.
But the thing about Battlefront 2 EA is, if I remember correctly, you're only boarding the ship, but as a mission. It's not something that you can, because when you board the ship, you can always get back in your fighter and fly off of it again.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do give it, but in this, when you're playing Capital Supremacy, it's the original Conquest mode mixed with the ship combat. Once you capture the ground, it's a tug of war mode. Once you take the ground, you guys go up and have to destroy the ship in a certain amount of time, and if you don't, you get sent back to the ground, and then the enemy could do it back and forth. But those matches in this one, they get pretty violent with stuff blowing up every 5 seconds.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, what the hell?
That's the one thing I liked about the original Battlefront 2 is the fact that it was a much larger overall battlefield. Yeah. Yeah. You can get in the ship, you can sabotage it, and then you can get in your fighter and then blow the shit up from the outside.
Yeah. In this one,
I kind of like that because then because the enemy could go and try and repair their modules
and get back at you with it.
Yeah, like if you're on the Imperial side and your Star Destroyer shield gets taken down, you could actually repair the shield generator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're doing it solo, it takes a really freaking long time. But if you and a bunch of other guys get engineer
to do it and do it, yeah. Because by yourself, oh my god, you're gonna be standing there for a minute.
Yeah, but my point is it's almost a Team Fortress 2 kind of team effort, you know? Like,
yeah.
The original Battlefront 2 had a lot of stuff going for it. I feel like that's all been taken out and replaced with other modes that just don't feel fulfilling, I guess.
Yeah, I mean compared to, but if not,
it feels more like a tram ride through the game rather than you being able to do what you want to help the team.
Yeah, and that was very heavy when the first game came out. But now with these modes that they changed it, like they do these updates, and the updates change the mode to now where the mode is more freeform, except for the objective. It's like, okay, it's free form where you're in, like, depending what phase are you in, on the ground and the floor, or the ground and the sky. But then once you get inside, you do have to tug of war it a little bit. But compared to what it was, it is much different and has changed. It's just that I flat out said, I'm like, why couldn't this come out from the get-go? And I said from the get, I'm like, EA, why is this game trapped? But like, why is there a good game trapped beneath all this bullshit?
Yeah.
Because now it's finally became the game that it should have been, and that's why.
That's why I call it a No Man's Sky kind of scenario.
Yeah.
It's a game that people feel betrayed by, and it's only now is it getting all of these updates to make it somewhat like its predecessor.
Yeah. And my buddy Beatmaster, he's the one that gave me the idea. He was like, "You're officially deemed Emperor Palpatine." I'm like, "Wait, why?" He says, "You're you too." He's like, "You are the." I'm like, so then that's why I changed it. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I will be the Emperor of this channel. Like, I will do. That's why I changed it. Have you seen my PlayStation avatar? It's like an Emperor Palpatine, but in a white robe. That's supposed to be like my take on, like, I'm the Emperor of this now.
Well, I mean, I think my choice to become the PlayStation Inquisition kind of confuses a lot of people. The Inquisition and Warhammer, like, they think that I'm some Sony fanboy, right?
Right, and you're not.
And I'm thinking to myself, have you seen what the Inquisition does to their own planets? Like, you think that Operation Cinder was bad on that one planet in Star Wars. The Inquisition does that
100 times on a daily basis, yeah.
On a daily basis, sometimes with just one fleet of ships, and they only do it. And there's actually different ways Exterminatus works, but mostly the way you see it classically in video clips is usually the ship, a fleet of starships will bombard the surface with these laser blasts that basically incinerate the entire surface of the planet. Yeah. But there's other ways too. One of the classic ways is something called cyclone torpedoes, which can actually crack the planet's crust and even destabilize the core.
Jesus Christ. Now, now here's the. I want to ask you something. This is in terms of attack, like the Empire's tactic. Do you feel a battle station is more sufficient than having an entire fleet with the capability to destroy a planet? So thousands of Star Destroyers could have that ability and be more likely to survive because you can warp and move. They move faster than the Death Star.
You gotta keep in mind though, an Emperor, like, let me just, Hang on, I got to do a quick little search here.
Because this was in the movie that Palpatine realized where he had failed with the Death Star, and figured that my fleet, and they demonstrated it. Yeah, it's okay. Well,
I use voice search a lot when I do this.
So
Warhammer 40K Starship class.
So Palpatine, in this sense, he was like, every ship can do this, and one ship was tested, and holy crap, it did more of an effective job than the Death Star.
Okay, so let's see here. There's different classes of starships, but what's the most commonly shown? Let's see. Escort frigates. We'll look at battleship, right?
Yeah.
Battle cruisers. Okay. So let's say a Vengeance class battle cruiser.
Well done, brothers.
Here we go.
Yes, well, this battle scares me less than the food at the Jedi
I'm
Temple.
just speed reading here, trying to look for.
But yeah, that's like when I looked at that, I'm thinking, okay, I thought I was like, okay, how the hell is this gonna work? I thought like Star Destroyers with the Death Star technology, but then when you sit back and think about it, they're less vulnerable. You have to attack them with a fleet.
Oh, that's just a picture. I'm looking for lore behind it.
Huh. See, you would have to use an entire fleet. You would have to engage the Star Destroyers in order to destroy them. And they can move, and they have more defenses. But the funny part is, the Death Star had two weaknesses in both films. A trench and a big hole. An even bigger hole, mind you, in the second, in Return of the Jedi.
I was hoping for some, like, dimensions, but here, let's, the Vengeance class Grand Cruiser is a very old design, the first being launched before the Great Crusade. The design idea of the armored prow is evident on the Vengeance. However, it is not yet truly armored, and provides no more protection than the standard hull armor. The ship design is now 10,000 or more years old, and is slowly being phased out. The remaining Vengeance class ships are currently in the reserve fleets, or used to protect shipping planes from pirates. They are very rarely used for full-scale engagements anymore due to their being outclassed by fewer designs. We should have like batteries, 2 lances on each side of the ship, providing it with enough firepower to hold its own against a cruiser or squadron of escorts. Not bad for it.
You know what's funny? I just realized something. The way we view Star Wars, it's a good cop, bad cop situation.
Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't really say too much about it. But there's like.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. I wouldn't claim to know anything about Warhammer because when I played the game, what drew me in is the aesthetic. When I started to play the game, I was like, okay, I think I should dive into this more. But then every time I try to dive into it, I start like things end up happening. I'm like, oh crap.
So an Emperor class battleship. The Emperor class battleship, like someone showed I think Beatmaster actually showed a GIF image of a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. And then you slowly see this animation of something rising beneath it, and it's getting bigger and bigger to the point where the Star Destroyer looks like a marble compared to this giant ship.
Yeah. I think he showed me something like that, trying to show me the difference between big ships, and I gave him credit on that. I was like, I gave the Warhammer series credit. I'm like, yeah, these things are huge.
Yeah, well, these things are basically bigger than the Executioner. I think you know what the Executioner is, right?
The Executioner is Star Destroyer.
Yeah, that was that massive dark blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah. These Emperor class starships. Now, keep in mind the Inquisition uses a lot of similar class ships to destroy planets with their Exterminatus fleet, right? So imagine ships that imagine a ship that big launching bombardments on your planet.
Oh yeah, you're there ain't no really walking away. But I'm thinking, you know what's funny? I
guess what I'm saying is that in a way, if the Star Destroyers were much bigger, then I could kind of see them having that kyber crystal design.
Yeah.
As it looked like they were just recycling, old Star Destroyers from the original Empire,
Oh, well, these Star Destroyers, when you look at them, they have the similar aesthetics to them. They do, but there's actually some differences on their size. They're bigger.
No, dude, they had people in space ponies riding across the hull of one of them.
No, I know. But
you could see the scale was not that big.
But somebody did a size comparison with a picture with the old Star Destroyers and the First Order Star Destroyers. These are actually a little bit much bigger. They're wider. They're not like longer. No, actually they're longer. They're not wider. They're much longer.
But they're not significantly large enough to warrant them having Death Star technology on board. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the fact that it proved its point when it fired, I was like, okay, no more green laser. That's a big red laser. And what is it with Siths and like Sith super weapons and lasers? That's what I'm saying. Like, what is with the Sith and super weapons and the weapon laser? I mean, the Temple on Malachor 5, a damn super laser. What did Revan and Malak try to use? A damn super laser. What the hell is with super lasers?
Actually, here's a better one. How the hell does one laser out of Starkiller Base turn into 5 beams?
See, that is something I even was like, what the hell? The sad part is, it was cool to watch, but the logistics, like the logistics, it didn't make sense. But I was like, okay,
oh, dude,
they kind of proved their point with firing it.
Why would you destroy Coruscant, the center of the Galactic Republic? You basically destroyed. That's like destroying Tokyo. Or
but if Palpatine is, since Palpatine is passing through Snoke, would you think he would want to destroy the first thing that would get in his way, which would be the government? Because he's not going to go back and take the government now. He's no longer saying that this is the Empire. He called it the Sith Empire. He's like, this is the Sith now. He's like, I'm no longer doing this. Which,
yeah, and where did all those people come? Where did all those little groupies come from with those suits?
Oh, I found out where they came from. The Sith planet.
Enlighten the rest of the fandom,
yeah.
please.
The Sith planet of Exegol has been around since the Old Republic. Now I don't know which Sith. I want to say Adendu, because Adendu had a Sith.
Sorry, if it's been around for that long, why didn't anyone do some preemptive?
The Sith were the only ones that had the maps to the unknown regions. That's the one thing they claimed in the Old Republic, so the Jedi could never get it.
But I thought that the only way to find it was to use a wayfinder and some knife that supposedly only existed after the destruction of the Death Star. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at. You know what's funny? I kind of, my manager at work, we talk about Star Wars all the time, and he said that he feels it was late 70s, early 80s CGI that made everything look like they'd blow into smithereens.
Well, yeah.
But think about it.
I mean, Star Trek actually took that technology a bit further, and they would have the model hanging from the ceiling.
So let's think about this. If the original trilogy happened now, and they used with this technology, guarantee you that they would show remnants falling apart and breaking. And Palpatine's knife, the knife that was used. Well, if that's really
the case, then how come there's not a new special edition showing off more? I mean, you can only redo a movie so many times, and I think Return of the Jedi. The reason some people don't like Return of the Jedi is because of how much cosmetic surgery it's gone through over its lifetime.
But then if we think about that, that's the thing, he shocked me when he said that, because he's much older than me. Like, he's actually older than you too. He's 45.
Who?
My manager.
Okay.
So he's 45, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe more so.
Star Wars came out in the 70s. I think Return of the Jedi came out in the late 80s. Or was it late 90s or in the late 80s?
88.
Oh, sorry.
No, 83, 83.
83.
Yes.
So that came out about 4 years before I was born.
Yeah, so he was around, he saw the first one in cinema when he was really young.
Okay.
So then he saw them, and then after, as he grew older, he started diving into that, and then he dove into Legends. But then he also looked at it from a filmmaker's point of view, saying, yeah, the CGI kind of don't justify an explosion that massive in space. You know there's chunks floating around somewhere.
Well, to be fair, I mean, have you seen how a pressure cooker works?
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
Have you seen the horrifying things people have done with pressure cookers and other pressurized things?
Seen one blow up.
Videos?
Seen an explosion. So then I was like, okay, I still find it would be cool to have the remnants of the Death Star, because Palpatine, those two. You remember those two robed figures that were with him, right? In episode of Return of the Jedi, that when Vader came in and they knelt their head before they left, they were his Sith loyalists. They were the Sith loyalists from Exegol. No, not the red. No, not the Red Guards. There was these two other older-looking men with him. They were in similar robes to him, but they were different colors.
The guys that had cancer or whatever.
Yeah, those cancer-looking guys. They were
cancer patients.
They were Sith loyalists from Exegol.
Okay.
And in the unknown regions, he discovered Exegol, and there was a Sith cult that was still alive out there. They were They were still living on that world. That the society kept going. They weren't Force wielders, but they were waiting for the return of a Sith to rule them. So Palpatine would use that, and as time passed on, they had enough people. As years went on, and he was not only conscripting for the First Order, he was taking children to Exegol as well. He's been building this fleet since his defeat. And even during the original trilogy, he's been building some of it,
well,
not all of it.
That still doesn't address the biggest concern we all have.
Yeah.
How did he survive that far?
Force Maelstrom. He did it to... See, that's the thing. This is why I brought up Dark Empire, because he did it to Luke in Dark Empire. That same light you see when he supposedly explodes was the same thing he put Luke to his position so he could turn him to the dark side. And it was the same aesthetic, the same design, and everything in the comic that he did in the film. And Luke was brought to that location. So I would say, how far is that fall? He could have had enough time to...
Teleportation was never something that was explored in the franchise.
In the films, yeah. Only like you would have to go deep into Legends, because Dark Empire was still in the early points of Legends. So that's why I was like, how far back did they draw from Legends? They went from something that nobody knew, because that's what he had done to teleport Luke. And I would be like, okay, maybe. And I'm not saying this as a prediction or anything like that. I'm just saying it would be the only explanation they'll have to give him for why he did or how he did it. They would have to give him that Force power. I wouldn't doubt him to know it. You know, he's just shown Force feats that are ridiculous.
The Emperor is the Emperor. He's the Emperor because he's very powerful and good at what he does.
Yeah.
But for him to do something in a movie that's never explained within the...
It was meant to be a shock. It was a shock that didn't work right away. That I think, you know. It should have been... I think the ability...
When J.J. Abrams killed off Star Trek...
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard that he was making Star Wars movies, I knew bad things were going to happen to the franchise, and... Like, even when I first heard that Disney took over, I joked about it, but when I found out J.J. Abrams was the one making the movies, that's when full despair kicked in.
Yeah.
Because I've seen his track record. He destroyed Star Trek, utterly.
That's the thing. The funny part is I got exposed to Star Wars first, so Star Trek is not my... I'll never say that's my field, because I don't know it. I get why people like it, I really do.
Even if it's not your field, it'll help you understand just what people are worried about when it comes to something. When it comes to J.J. Abrams being involved with the filmmaking process in any regard.
Okay.
When J.J. Abrams, it's not that J.J. Abrams made the film. It's not that he directed the film that was bad. Like he can do good direct. He's good at directing.
Yeah.
The problem everyone has is that he wrote that movie. He wrote the first and last movie for the sequel trilogy.
And I kind of feel they would have had a better shot if he would have just, at least if he stood around to do the whole trilogy, we would have had something a little more concrete. There'll be more. No, you're right. I agree. There'll be more criticisms. You're right.
I think that J.J. Abrams shouldn't have been writing the movies at all. So it should have been someone with more experience. But no, Kathleen Kennedy hired everyone who didn't have any experience writing for Star Wars, had them all writing the story for these films, and that's why we got such a disjointed, disconnected.
Yeah, and they rely on us to look into both continuities to try to.
Well, which it's funny you say that because Kathleen Kennedy herself said it's really hard to make films when there's no comics or no other media based.
I can even tell her that, like, no matter what people view on me on Star Wars, I even said that's bullshit. She was bullshitting right there.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem is that these people don't know Star Wars. And what they did know, it's like they read the back of the cover and that was it. That's like a person being expected to act out a role in a movie based on a novel, and the person read the back of the cover.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you wanted me to play a role in Macbeth, and I read the paperback cover of the book, you really think I would have any real understanding on how Macbeth's character would be, or his motivations, or anything else like that?
Oh yeah.
You think it would?
Oh no, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
And I just walked off. I just walked off the ledge without looking. Damn.
Oh.
But yeah. Even I say because his thing is, I just don't like that. What currently is. There's no. It's like Star Wars fans now can't have a middle ground with what's going on. But the funny part is, with you and I doing this, it shows that that there can be a middle ground with one reason, like one person can enjoy it and the other can't. It doesn't.
Well,
you know.
I guess the big thing here is that I like Star Wars, but I'm not a full-blown, hyperactive fanboy about it, right?
Yeah. I think
I'm not someone who I don't have the T-shirt. I don't have like a complete Blu-ray collection. Well, I have the
Do you have
the DVD collection? I have the DVD collection of I do have the Blu-ray collection of the original trilogy. But that's it. Like, I'm not someone who goes out and buys everything, including the big gulp drinks and all that other shit. You know?
What's funny is, yeah, I'm considered what you call a prequel era baby because I was born in the 94, so yeah, I mean, but the thing I was exposed to was Return of the Jedi first.
Right.
And then when I saw that, that's when I wanted to watch the other movies to piece it together. And funny thing, my first exposure to Star Wars was actually a tape-recorded CTV broadcast of the movie. In my case, like, the thing was, when I had also saw the prequels, for some reason, I just didn't have a disdain like people did. I don't know why. I don't know, was I young or?
I didn't hate the prequels either. I mean, I thought some of the characters were annoying, and that there was some stuff that seemed kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it didn't have that same level of revolt.
Like
I wasn't as repulsed as other people were by some of the decisions. I thought they were kind of weird, maybe a little annoying, but I wasn't repulsed by it.
And then think about this. When you take in... Oh, wait, I'm 25 now. How old was I in 2005? Damn, I can't even do the math right now. Because 2005 is when Revenge of the Sith came out.
Just count back. When were you born?
I was born in 94, June 28, 94. Wait, I got a calculator.
If you were born in 94, that means you would have been 1 year old in 95.
But I saw... In 2000... I'm talking about, in 2005, when Revenge of the Sith came out, that was my first Star Wars in theaters.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to remember how old I was, because that's a hell of a movie for a kid.
So if you're born in 94, then you would have been 6 years old in 2000. So it's 11 years old.
Okay, yeah, 11. But as my first Star Wars movie in theaters, that's a hell of a movie to show an 11-year-old.
Yeah, no, I was first shown, like I said, a tape-recorded version of the first film. Then I was, because I was around when VHSs were still a big thing, so I got to see all the original. I got to see
but that's what I have actually, the original unaltered tapes of
the VHS collection.
Yeah, my mom gave that to me that Christmas that year.
Gold collection. I think the gold collection, I guess, is what they would call it, eh?
No, it was this one where, remember when A New Hope had an image of a stormtrooper on it, Empire had Vader's. It was like just when their faces were on half of the screen, it was all black in the background.
Okay, yeah, because the gold collection has like this sort of like gold-colored case. You pull it out, and then you'd see the.
Yeah, I remember that. No, I had that. I had these 3 tapes. They came in the single box, but with each of those individuals on it. Like Yoda on Return of the Jedi was half of Yoda's face with his little smile.
Yeah. Exactly.
I had those, and then I went to see, and then when I watched Revenge of the Sith, I was like, huh?
Probably felt a little out of place considering you were seeing something that came before A New Hope.
Well, no, at that point, because then after I saw Return of the Jedi for the first time, then I started to watch the movies. I had seen episode 1, 2, and 3. Then I was watching the other movies, so not 1, 2, 3. I watched 1 and 2. Then I watched the other ones, and then I was like, okay. Then when I went into Revenge of the Sith, I was like, okay, Star Wars movie. And then I saw how dark that movie was. I was like, But then the sad part is my favorite.
Mom, should I really be watching this?
But you know what's funny? Because she took me out of school. She was like, I know he's gonna. She was like, I know you're gonna like this. I was like, okay. But the thing is, since I had already had already pre-knowledge of Star Wars, I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch them. And then I'm like, holy shit. I was like, when you see when you see an old man get beheaded in the first 25 minutes. 10, 20.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm in for it now.
And you see this guy, this so-called Chandler, do it.
And then you see your favorite character get burned.
Yeah.
I was like, and then after that,
he loses 3 of his limbs and then gets the last one burned away.
So then right after that, I had an addiction.
Wow.
I was like that, and then that year, my whole Christmas that year was all Star Wars stuff.
Damn.
Nothing but. My mom got me a whole bunch of games. Battlefront 2 was one of them. The games I got that Christmas were Lego Star Wars, the first one,
Okay.
Battlefront 2, Revenge of the Sith, what was the other one that I had? 'Cause I got 4 I had gotten 4 that year. There was another one on the PS2 that I had. Shit, I forgot the name. Damn it, I forgot the name.
Heavy Bolt. Oh shit.
I think it was no, it was Star Wars. There's 2 games called Star Wars: The Clone Wars. There's the one based off the show, and there's actually an original game called Star Wars: The Clone Wars that was taking place between episodes 2 and 3.
Wasn't that on?
It was on the Xbox. Yeah, GameCube and the Xbox.
Okay.
And then, do you remember the lightsaber battle game with the little training ball plugged into the TV?
Oh, are you talking about that plug-and-play thing?
Yes, where you plug in the little training ball and you had the little lightsaber control and you fought on the screen.
Yeah, it was like a rip-off of the iToy.
But the sad part is the thing worked so well. It really did. It was so accurate, and I would play that thing all day until I got to Vader.
Damn.
And I remember Christmas morning, right when I got Battlefront 2, right after I opened everything, I was playing that all day.
Hearing all this, I'm surprised you didn't get the Kinect Star Wars.
That I know my limitations. But I have yes, I have played it. So I have what was that quote he said? Not the dark side of the force. There was another quote he said, or somebody said something. Oh, he said this: if one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects.
Right.
So I had to study good and bad.
Ooh, I got some passive abilities I can spend. Nice. Aim shots.
Alright.
5% chance of kills to get aim or sniper skills getting. Oh wow. 2% damage bonus for aim and sniper shot. Oh, I'm not really much of a sniper. I'm more of a range.
Am I gonna be able to do this? Oh. Okay.
Here we go. Range damage bonus right there. Oh wow. Now let's rack that. Let's rack that shit up.
I'll make you lunch for tomorrow, and I'll just give you a little bit of heat because it's not. I mean, I don't know unless you.
I'll work with that.
So I'm making the broccoli. That's the only one that's left. The broccoli little packets of rice.
Mm-hmm.
Plus I'm gonna cut up some the luncheon meat. You know the little can that it's meat.
Yeah, I got you.
Those are good.
Okay.
So that's gonna be.
I'm curious to see how a heavy bolter fares.
Yeah, I know.
And then Tuesday I get paid, so I'll just give you money out of that, and you buy
Yeah, that's true.
The good thing is that my check came, when they gave me my check back to normal.
Okay.
Yeah, because I dropped my hours. I gotta stay underneath 20 hours. 20 hours to the most.
Hmm.
21, 22, depends,
Okay.
when I go to my section A, which is on Tuesday,
Hold on real quick, cause I'm about to end this. The game is not working right now. I'm starting to have some connection issues, so I might just end it and get off and eat dinner.
No worries, man.
But I want to let everyone know, this was this stream can show that the Inquisition has his own views why he doesn't like what's going on, and I have a much more understanding view. You know. So I hope you guys weren't expecting. You know, a lot of people are for some reason expecting blood matches nowadays.
Yeah, debates aren't a blood sport, guys. We can all be civil when we talk at the round table. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna let everyone know whenever I try to get my computer fixed, I'm gonna start trying to make videos. So in the meantime, I'm gonna have to do everything in a streaming format. And
or you can just learn how to use SharePlay. Or not SharePlay. Not SharePlay, sorry, Share Factory.
No, I do, but then the quality drops.
A little bit. I mean, I agree. Capturing off on a PC is a lot better, but I have a capture device, and the files are just too big to deal with.
That's true. So, alright guys, I'm gonna cast a stream. This is also Inquisition. Be sure to check out his channel. If you guys can't be able to spell it, just go to the Rise of Skywalker review. He left a comment. You guys could click it from there. There's also another guy in Inquisition I want you to look at called the Nexus. He shares a very I call it. He has Nexus in the title. He made a comment also on the same video. He shares your views and he also shares my views at the same time. Like how you and I share our views as individuals, he has our views in one sitting, which is insane. But he does it really. He did it. I watched his video. He did it really well. He critiques Disney, but he also critiques us, in showing that because there's a lot of aspects that, you know, every fandom does have a dark side. No fandom is perfect, and it does show that there is a lot of things that we could do differently as fans. You know. Because when you take two negatives and a negative, you're not going to get a positive through force.
Right.
You know.
No, you can't shove your opinion down someone's throat and expect them to accept it. No.
Yeah, and but anyway, yeah, that's what I want to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If it comes to, I won't be able to do the stream for New Year's because I'm not going to be here. Now I'm going to be at my sister's house. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna go enjoy some dinner. If you guys are watching Inquisition's stream, be sure to jump over to his stream if you guys are into Warhammer. Anyway, guys, your Emperor says do it.